Good evening, fellow heretics. Welcome to tonight's episode of Nerds and Heresy. I'm your host, Captain Dadpool. Tonight I'm joined with the one and only Natalie Nat, who is standing in the stead of Crimson Barrel. And we have two very special guests tonight with us. This is Jason and Christian from the Drunk Ex-Pastors podcast. They've been doing the podcast. That words are hard sometimes. They've been doing the podcast for about 7 years. I've been listening to about 4 or 5 years. They were a big part of my deconstruction as a Christian from my Christianity because TikTok wasn't a thing back then. So yeah, I kind of quietly listened to them, and they have a pretty interesting story because, as the title suggests, they're drunk ex-pastors and missionaries, and now they're not so much. So welcome, you guys. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I was glad to be here.
Yeah,
we are somewhat drunk. We have been drinking most of the day. So
good.
We didn't want to live up to the name. So
even better. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. So you guys want to get the conversation started? What were your past your prior to deconstructing? What was that like? And what is going on with you now?
Well, we met in high school, so like 10 years ago.
Clearly.
Right.
And anyway,
give or take.
give or take. And we met in high school. We both went to a Christian high school in Southern California, where we're from.
By Christian, very evangelical fundamentalist.
Out of the Jesus
school.
movement of the 60s is what our home church came out of. And we graduated high school, and then I became a missionary to Africa, and Christian went to Bible college. And then a few years later, we both were on the mission field together in Europe, and just gung-ho, just gung-ho for Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
I went to Africa, too. You failed to mention
No idea
that.
what that's
He also went to Africa. I forgot to say that part.
Whereabouts in Africa? Can I just ask that?
Uganda.
Uganda?
East
Both of
Africa.
you?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You gone to Africa? I got that.
Yeah.
Where in Africa?
Yeah, we're still trying this.
Uganda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a dad joke. I'm done. Sorry.
And then we were in Europe on the mission field, and we kind of got kicked out of the mission field for theological reasons, which we can go into or not. It's up to you.
I want to go into this. No, I want to know, where were you and what did you do?
Okay, I was in Budapest, Hungary, and Christian was in Debrecen, Hungary. So we were both living in the country of Hungary. And at a certain point in like the mid 90s, we accepted John Calvin into our hearts.
Oh.
We accepted Arthur W. Pink.
Yeah. And so that did not go well with the powers that were.
Our theology became better than our church's theology, and they didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we got kicked out. And then you can tell your side of your part of after we got kicked out. For me, I wanted to still be in the ministry because I was like I want to be a Presbyterian pastor. So I went to seminary in San Diego, and eventually planted a PCA church, a Presbyterian church in America, up in the Northwest where we now live. And I did that until 9 years ago when I left. And then when you moved home, you worked at a grocery store.
Yeah, when I worked home, when I got home, I wanted to. I was pretty done with ministry, and I had a pretty rocky marriage, and I had 2 kids, so I needed to support them. And I wanted to do drugs and have a bunch of orgies, so I stopped going to church. That's not really true, but that's what people are going to say no matter what I say about why.
I mean, now that you've mentioned it, yeah, that's definitely where my mind went.
Just look at my comments. You'll see that.
Yeah.
So I started working at a grocery store, and then got a job in IT and started teaching myself for web development. So I slowly, over the next 5 or 6 years after I moved back from Hungary, kind of stopped going to church, and I wanted to get to a place where I wanted to know. I was raised since I was 6 years old in this fundamentalist church, and I wanted to know what I would believe naturally if I wasn't feeding myself a daily dose of devotions and Christian radio and going to church 3 times a week and only having Christian friends.
The imminent rapture.
Yeah, and worried about the rapture and all that stuff. And so my goal was to just kind of move myself away from it and find out what would I think without these daily influences. And it turns out when I removed those influences, I didn't really think that much of Christianity when it was just kind of me looking at it without all that reaffirmation and indoctrination that I did daily. So I moved away from Christianity. I moved up here, and then Jason moved up here. He did 9 years? You were in Presbyterian Church? 8 years?
Something like that.
Yeah, and he still holds on to some Christianity. He's not a full heretic, but he defends himself well.
Well, I don't call myself a heretic either. I'm a scientist. There's a difference.
Oh, okay.
It's no difference.
So
That's what heresy
about
is.
that.
It's science.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Oh, man. So I guess I'm
Yeah.
a witch.
So then about 9 years ago, he decided that he wanted to be Catholic because it seemed more, it made more sense.
I like stained glass, and gargoyles.
He likes candles.
That's fair.
Gargoyles are pretty cool. The whole
It-
gothic.
flying
I
butcher-
vibe with that whole scene. So
Yeah.
you know.
So that kind of killed his
No,
being.
It's great
a
propaganda.
Protestant.
I mean, that whole aesthetic. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
J-Mark.
but
was
it's
out.
tough to be a Presbyterian pastor while also thinking Catholic stuff. So I stepped down from the ministry in 2012, and sure enough, I got divorced a few years later. And
When God's not helping you, you lose your
That's
marriage and
unfortunate.
all that
right,
stuff. So,
right.
Yeah.
So now I'm just a big
Similar
failure.
story.
Oh,
Yeah, and then 7 years ago, it was Jason's idea to start this podcast, and we've been doing it ever since.
Because
Whether we want to or not.
we've been friends for so long, and we'd hang out. When I was married, I had like one night a week to like be myself, and so I'd like come over to Christian's house. We'd like drink a bunch of drinks and watch shit and eat pizza and just talk. And we'd talk. We'd try to watch movies or TV, but we'd end up talking for like 3 hours about just interesting stuff. And then at one point we just thought, like, what if we just record it? What if we record our conversations and just let our kind of dynamic and our camaraderie be the star of the show? And we don't really have any kind of topic, which is somewhat limiting. You'd think if you have a podcast that's not about anything in particular, then you'll have a huge audience. But it's actually, if we had a podcast about like rock formations in the American Southwest, we'd probably have a massive audience. But it's like we just talk about whatever comes to mind. But we just decided, let's just record our conversations, and so we did, and we're still doing it. And we're not, we're doing fine. We're doing okay. It's not as big as we may have hoped, but it's certainly bigger than a lot of shows. So, and we like it.
I don't remember having any hopes about it at all.
I had no hope other than that
Wait,
at the
you-
time.
you,
Right.
you got my attention, so clearly you've reached like the pinnacle. Like
Right.
peak.
Right.
It's
We
all
just-
downhill from here. So
We just thought if there's a guy called Captain Dadpool, I hope we can reach him, and
Yeah,
we
that's
did. So
success.
Yes,
You can die happy now.
Amen.
And we just so where we're at now, I would consider myself an agnostic, and depending on the day, I could be an agnostic theist or an agnostic atheist. And Jason is just a really bad Catholic. He's
okay. He's a priester.
He's still a Christian, but he's really like not as good of a Christian as me, who is not a
but
Christian.
is he a
irony.
priester? That's what I got to know.
No.
What's that mean? A what?
A priest?
A
They're the
priester?
people-
No, not a
Oh.
priest. A
Another priest?
priester. It's someone that shows up on Christmas and Easter. It's a priester.
Oh,
CEO.
that's a lot of
Christmas and
expectation
Easter
on
on
me.
what?
I can't be expected to. I mean, that's 2 days. I only have 350 days a year now to myself. That's a lot to ask.
Where did the other
Speaking-
15 days go?
No, 2 days a year. So I got
350.
350.
No, 365. Try again.
How many days are there in a year? I don't know.
365.
Listen,
on a
you off
non-leap
to
year.
I'm not into
Great
this whole
start.
science thing, Nat. Okay,
okay,
however,
okay,
there
I'll let
are
it go.
as
I'm
many
trying to
days in a
pin
year
you
as
guys
I
to
decide
the
there are.
intellectual duo, and
So we're becoming Roman then. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah.
Did
So
you go
you-
to church on Easter or Christmas this year?
No, but there's a global pandemic, and
right.
the church I like, I have to drive. If I'm gonna go to church, it's not gonna be in a suburban church because I fucking hate suburban, like religion, suburban anything. And so it's like the church. If I'm gonna go to it, it's like 25 miles away, and we had a global pandemic, so I took the year off.
So yeah.
Yeah, God won't get mad at you for
You're
that.
off.
He's the one who he sent the pandemic. It's like it's on him.
Yeah,
oh
right.
wait, I thought there. Wait, are we not following the conspiracy theories about the pandemic?
Well,
then?
he made China design the
Oh,
virus,
okay.
something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know.
The
He's
bats
in
on
charge.
the cargo ship. Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
We know what's
exactly.
up.
So, can I ask a question? What about you guys?
Sure.
Can you guys? Can you? Because I'm
His story's
imagining
more
your
interesting.
listeners and followers know your stories, but we don't really. So, can you encapsulate it for us? So we.
Yeah. So for me, I became Christian when I was 15. Had mild exposure to it prior to that, but I wasn't really considered a Christian until I was 15. I was invited to a youth group, got like obsessed with it. Very, very passionate about the Bible and theology, and eventually, went on missions trips, and went to Bible college and couldn't afford it. Then I had to go to the military, went to war as you do, and then got back and was like, hey, I can afford college now. So I went back because I still wanted to be a pastor, got my degree in theology. And during that process, I just kind of like learned that everything the church had told me for the past 15 years was a lie. And so I stopped believing like all of it. And I didn't really become a full atheist until like 2 or 3 years after I got my degree. Like that's how long it took for me to process all that information.
How much of it was the actual study you were doing for your degree that moved you towards being atheist? Because
it was a huge...
Like Bart Ehrman, right? He talks about how his whole thing was he was, it was the studying of it that led him to be where he is.
Yeah, that's very similar. Like the biggest thing for me was learning that the Gospels were written anonymously, because I'd always been taught it had been written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, 4 independent eyewitness authors. That's why they're credible. That's why they're reliable. And then I learned, no, we have no idea who wrote the Gospels. They most certainly were not written by the disciples or eyewitnesses of any kind. They're written in a completely different language 30, 40, 50, 60 years after the fact. And we have no clue. And then Paul, who writes earlier than the Gospels, records very different things than what is written in the Gospels. So Paul's our earlier source, but he doesn't talk about a virgin birth. He doesn't talk about a burial at all. He seems to be okay with the idea of Jesus being buried in a mass grave. That was done at the time. So it became this whole, it was like this domino effect. Like one thing kind of fell after the other. And eventually I looked at my Bible and I was like, what even is this anymore? I believe that this was like the inherent word of God. Like I wasn't like a biblical literalist, and I believe that like Genesis was allegorical, and I always try to reconcile my faith with science. But at some point I couldn't reconcile it with history anymore. So I just started I stopped believing one thing. I stopped believing in hell. I stopped believing that God was omniscient. I stopped believing in afterlife altogether. And then I kind of just like, I don't think I believe in God anymore either. Like, so yeah, that's kind of my story.
What, can I ask what church or denomination and like?
Yeah, I was Assemblies of God.
Assemblies of God. Okay.
Yeah. Charismatic gospel.
And then where did you go? You went to seminary?
Yeah, it was University of Valley Forge in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We had a listener.
Sister Church of Liberty.
Oh, is that the Oral Roberts?
No.
Okay, my bad.
Which one's Oral Roberts? No, but it's like a little sister church of, or what's the word? School? Not sister. What's it? Satellite church? Maybe is what's it called, or satellite school. Anyway, it's. Yeah, it was cool. I lived in married housing, went to physical classes, went to chapel 5 days a week, which was another thing, like being force-fed Jesus every day, and you weren't allowed to skip, or you'd get kicked out or fined.
At my Bible college, we had to listen to a Chuck tape every day. Chuck Smith is the pastor who started Calvary Chapel, the church we grew up in.
Yeah.
And so he goes through the Bible once every year. Or he goes through the Bible every 7 years. That's what it is. But then if you compile all the check tapes and you listen to them in a year, you can listen through the entire Bible in 365 days. And yeah, that was something we had to do at Bible college. Listen to him teach through the whole Bible.
That sounds excruciating.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
He would listen on double speed. So.
But Nat's got an interesting story.
I don't know if mine's that interesting. I was raised Methodist. I mean, I went all the way up to confirmation, but I actually quit about a year or within a year of being confirmed, partly because all of my family members have different religions. And because of that hodgepodge and cornucopia of different religions, I was always asking them, like, what do you believe? Why do you believe that? And my mother, who She's a very, very intelligent woman. She's a psychologist. She's always asking others and constantly analyzing me and teaching me how to analyze others. So I was under the impression that people behaved based off of their past experiences. So I believe that the different religions pushed others or the different religions reflected that which is needed when they were a kid. So I was just kind of back and forth about stuff. I can honestly say I've never read the Bible, and I still don't feel like I need to. I have zero reason to. I mean, I've read a few.
Let me
of the
tell
books,
you, you're missing.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
Am I?
Because clearly you don't know that it's wrong to lie and murder and steal.
Oh, see, now you're assuming I haven't read much of the Bible.
You can learn that
How
is the
could you know
Bible.
that?
So I'd give it a shot. Crack it open, stop the stealing and the murdering.
Well, I was able to read a little bit of a Jehovah Witnesses Bible because
that's not going to work. That's no good. That's bullshit.
I feel like lying and stealing is.
See, they don't believe in the Trinity, and that's not acceptable.
Yeah, their theology is wrong, so they don't know anything about morality.
Well, So I mean, I have a King James Bible back here just because I was gifted it by my grandmother, and I love her to death.
That's the language God speaks.
Well, I mean, she's Presbyterian, so it's kind of weird because she married a Lutheran, and then I'm a Methodist. It was just a big old mess. Anyway, so with all this big hodgepodge, I couldn't. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense that there were so many different beliefs happening within a family, let alone within the world. And so initially, I was like, okay. So maybe it's like this one God, and everybody reflects it differently, and like everybody sees him differently, and that's why there's different religions. But it's this one guy. And then I started realizing that the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, maybe it's a girl. Maybe there's a few gods. Maybe there's no gods. Like, none of this is making sense anymore. And eventually I was just like, the only thing that makes sense right now is stuff that I can prove and things that I can provide evidence for. So I became a scientist, and that's that.
and Natty Nat, do you just go by Natty or Natty?
You can just call me Nat. It's fine.
Okay. Did your archaeology, was that what it was?
I'm a geoarchaeologist.
Okay. Just
so,
like
yes.
Indiana Jones. Do you do Indiana Jones?
No,
stuff?
I don't destroy things.
Okay.
She does have a whip though, but she uses that for other things.
Other things.
That was my next question. Do you have a whip?
I do own a bullwhip, and I do know how to use it. Yes.
Right on.
But I also am a farm girl, so there's that too.
So you're both atheists then, like full on atheists?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless the evidence shows otherwise, yes.
Do you frown upon agnosticism?
No.
Okay. Because I get a lot of shit for being agnostic, and I feel like
there's people that call you like undecided, or people that can't make up their mind. That's not a thing. I mean, you can't force someone to push their own boundaries without them knowing where the boundary is. So when you're within this fuzzy field, you have to be an agnostic, and you just have to accept that until you know better. Otherwise, it is what it is.
I feel like it takes a lot of courage to be an agnostic with all the shit you get for it. So
you get shit for being an atheist too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember, we don't believe in anything.
Because then you get the how do you know? Like, we're not saying we know.
So,
right.
We're just saying we don't believe. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys, your podcast, like you were touching on earlier, it kind of goes all over the place, which is kind of cool because you don't just talk about religion, you talk about socio-political issues, pop culture, bidets recently. So yeah, like
Bo Burnham most recently.
Or Bo Burnham, yeah. I haven't heard the latest episode.
I did hear the latest episode, and I was just mentioning that to Dadpool, to Ricky, that I think it was Jason who said, yeah, we're supposed to be on Captain Dadpool's podcast, Nerds, and I don't remember what you said, but it wasn't Heresy.
It was Nerds. It was Nerds and Atheists, is what.
That's it.
Nerds and atheists.
You said Nerds and Atheists, and I was like, well, oh, okay.
Close.
I mean, close.
Half right.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Yeah.
So, but you guys are very like well versed in pop culture. You're this massive amounts of knowledge on music and movies and TV shows, and it's very fun.
That's the best compliment anyone has ever given me, what he just said just now.
Oh,
that's the greatest thing that anybody could ever tell me.
We can retire.
Yeah,
We're done.
We already said that you could die happy earlier. So because you guys have a guy named Captain Dadpool following your podcast.
Right.
So.
That's right.
This is the best day of my life.
Twice now. You can die twice happily.
Yeah.
But yeah, how trying to find a way to ask a question around that.
How do you become so knowledgeable on pop culture?
Sure. Yes.
We're just very shallow people. And we stopped reading the Bible and we just watched a lot of TV.
Yeah. We used to read the Bible a lot. We filled that time with TV and music instead.
So actually, I want to bring the most recent of your podcast. So it's interesting that Ricky didn't listen to this one, but I did 5-6 hours of research yesterday, listening to as many of your podcasts as possible.
Oh, sorry.
On like 2 times the speed while I was driving back from like the Grand Canyon. So I got to listen to a lot of what you've been talking about, and it's so interesting that the most recent podcast you talk about is the fact that you guys are so self-confident you get called assholes a lot, and it's. But I think it's interesting because then you go about like, well, yeah, but people actually like that because that triggers them to like follow you or be interested in your dialogue. But what it is it's truly just you believing in yourself well enough to project these thoughts and then not give a shit, and that's it.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Thank you. I mean, for me, it's like I don't the category of belief almost is it's almost a misfire for me, because it's like, what do I believe? Like, I don't know. Like, whoa, just take it easy, you know? Like, Jesus, I don't know that any of the things I think, and I think a lot of things, but I would I call them beliefs? Like, I don't know that I take myself that seriously anymore. So I think all kinds of things are plausible or on a scale of plausibility or implausibility. But it's like I don't necessarily sign on with the kind of imprimatur of a belief. I believe this now. Because for me, I've learned by, leaving evangelicalism, becoming a Catholic or Calvinist, in the mid 90s, and then becoming a Catholic out of Presbyterianism in the early 20-teens. I've learned, I hope I've learned enough kind of epistemological humility to not really hold with that firm grip anything anymore. So I think lots of things are plausible, lots of things are probably likely, but am I going to go like put my head on a chopping block for this or that proposition or this or that belief? Probably not.
What would you put your head on a chopping block for?
The Wire.
That's be the best show ever.
That The Wire is the best TV show that's ever. That's the one thing I'll die for. And maybe my kids, maybe two or three.
They're
I feel like you knew I was going to ask you that question by how fast you're responding.
See, I mean,
we do finish each other's
sandwiches. Yeah.
Did we all three to say it that?
Did we all just do that? Yes, we did.
Oh man.
So would you, if somebody said, if you don't deny Jesus as your Lord and Savior, we're going to cut your head off. Would you? Where
do I sign to not be getting my head cut off? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Did Jesus exist? Probably. Was he the Son of God? Maybe. I don't know. But it's like, here's what we're talking about. We're sitting outside before we came on, smoking cigars and drinking, and we're talking about this stuff. Yeah, he's sinning. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Jesus, at the very least, to me, Jesus was someone who existed, got killed, and chose to break the cycle of violence by not fighting back and not encouraging his followers to fight back. So it's like, that's kind of my politics, right? I would consider myself a nonviolent person. So it's like, and I happen to live in the West, and so it's like, yeah, Jesus, he's good. He's turned the other cheek. But if I had lived in the East, I'd be a Buddhist. But I'd have the same exact politics and same exact worldview, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So back to the beheading.
I don't want to be beheaded.
I mean, I would lie out my ass not to be beheaded. So it really doesn't bother me.
Although that would be a good way to die. If you had to die, if you knew you had to die tomorrow, that'd be a good way to go because it's like sudden.
I'm not convinced that you don't see stuff for 10 or 12 seconds after being beheaded, though.
I don't know about you guys, but I would want to go the Monty Python way. If you guys remember the meaning of life and the way you can die.
So much he exploded?
No, that's one of the. No, that wasn't it. It's the one where he's like, okay, you're sentenced to die. How would you like to do it? And then they show this guy running as fast as he can, chased by like hordes of naked women until he jumps off of a cliff and into his own grave. Yeah.
Is that,
I mean, it's an interesting way to die, but you know,
is that the
I always
life of
thought
Brian? What is that?
No, that one was The Meaning of Life.
The Meaning of
The
Life.
Meaning
Yeah.
of Life. Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh well,
good.
it's lovely, especially for Catholics. There's a song about Catholics in it.
Really?
I'll have
lovely.
to check that out.
Yeah, it's called "Every Sperm is Sacred."
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble.
That's why every time you jerk off, you commit genocide.
I mean, it is a problem. It is a
Genocide of your own offspring.
messy problem.
How could you? It is messy. It is messy.
It's messy
Good.
problem.
Good choice of words there, Nat.
I wouldn't know.
So what do you guys got going on now? You're opening up a restaurant, is that right, Jason?
Yeah. My girlfriend and I are just, literally a week away, perhaps, depending on inspections, from opening a farm-to-table restaurant nearby here. And it's called the Well and Table, and it's going to be all locally sourced protein, locally sourced fruits and vegetables, wine, ale, liquor, everything local. And
I'm gonna bartend.
he's gonna be Christian's gonna be
You
one
lost
of our
me.
bartenders.
I was interested
Until what?
you
Till I
said
was
that.
bartending?
What?
You don't want me to making drinks for you?
I don't know if I trust you.
Oh my gosh, that's
You can trust him
because
with drinks.
you're an agnostic and they don't fucking trust you.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't
I
trust
wouldn't-
an agnostic. They can't make decisions.
that's fine.
Yeah, he's like, I don't
I
know what I
wouldn't
should
trust
use,
him to
bourbon
give
or
away
rye.
free drinks until it bankrupts your business.
Right?
Yeah, well, so that's
That was
what
one of
I'm
my
doing.
first questions is how do you, like, if somebody comes in and I want to give them a free drink, how do I go about doing that? Like technically
You
on the
pay for
computer
it.
and
You
stuff.
pay for their drink.
Yeah,
Actually, the thing was I can ask you.
But
And I'm like,
then
I
he
have
would
to
pay
ask
for
you.
their drink.
You have the ability to give a free drink.
I'm like, what's in it for you? I need to know.
But I also know your code, so I could just
You
give
just want to be
free drinks,
nice.
too.
Just be a
I
nice
need to
guy.
change-
Yeah.
I have to
It's
change
the
my
code is DXP.
No,
Times
but we
one.
have a drink at the restaurant that is called a drunk
The
X
DXP.
Faster.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. You said that.
Yeah.
You said that on your podcast. I was laughing. I was like, what? I'm very curious as to what's in it.
I can
I'm
tell
intrigued.
you. I could do. Are you how curious? Because I can
Let's
tell you
hear it.
exactly.
No,
the
go ahead and
ingredients.
tell me.
It's an
I
ounce
used
and
to
a
be a
half-
bartender, so
Ounce and a half of rye,
Okay.
a half ounce of Averna, a half ounce of ancho raised chili liqueur, a quarter ounce of Vanille de Madagascar, and then a couple dashes of Underberg's bitters, and then a dash or two of Angostura bitters. And
I feel
orange
like
peel.
you need to add like celery
is
salt in with
really-
that. But it
It's
sounds
perfect.
It's perfect. I
the
don't
way
need to edit
is.
it.
Yeah, don't start. You can't mess with perfection.
good. I mean I can
fake.
alter it how I want.
It's not
It
broken up.
kind of looks a lot like what you're drinking right there.
It does?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a blackberry
Oh, I love
Merlot.
Oh, it's a wine? You're drinking a wine?
I am drinking a wine. I
That's not a
can't
wine
do
glass.
hard liquor right now.
Yeah,
I
rocks-
may
Wow. Okay.
I can't do it because I don't have any right now. I'm out.
I was like, why can't you? Okay.
There's none at the house at the moment.
Okay.
I just got back from a camping trip, so I'm out of all my good liquor.
Ouch.
So I need to go get some good stuff.
Yeah, I used to be a supervisor at Starbucks, and I gave away free drinks all the fucking time. And I told my baristas to give out
Water.
I was like, no, it's like just give me a free drink because it's not on our dime. We're not paying for
No.
it. I don't give a
But-
shit.
Yeah, when it's
I
like
make the
some
same amount of money either
soulless
way.
corporation,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
like, let
but
them
that's
gave away
different than
free
having a
drinks.
mom and
Jeff-
pop shop.
Yeah, let Jeff
And if
Bezos
you're a
take the hit.
cunt, we put decaf shots in your drink. So don't be a
Yeah.
cunt to your barista.
I like
No,
it.
and that's your answer, by the way. If you want to give out a free drink without like letting anybody know, just write down a water. Just put down water, and it's done.
I'm curious why I can't just pour a free drink and nobody knows.
Because they
You want to know how
many.
many you're selling
Bullshit.
a night, though. You want to know how busy you are, and if there's like a whole chunk.
Wow, our bar was packed tonight, but we only sold $4 worth of shit,
Yeah. And Christian's going home with 4 women. That's weird.
and everyone's
That's
drunk.
so strange.
How does this happen?
Weird.
When I was a junior and senior in high school, I worked for Mrs. Fields Cookies. Are you guys familiar with Mrs. Fields Cookies?
Yeah,
And I used
gooey,
to, I was
gooey
the assist-
sugar.
I was the assistant manager, and so I could control how many cookies we made each day. And I would come to school, no lie, with 600 to 700 cookies in my trunk of my car every morning, and just hand them out to people like Jason. And that's why we're friends to this day. He keeps thinking he's going to get a bag of Mrs. Fields cookies from me.
You literally Pavloved him into
Totally.
being your friend.
Exactly what you did.
But
That's
let me
amazing.
can I just point out
Pavlovian
that
conditioning right there.
Holy
but
cow!
I just have to point out that he gave me a bag of cookies yesterday.
That's right. That's right. I did.
He has to reinforce the idea. It's an ongoing
Because
training.
I've set the expectation of like, if I don't get with my fucking cookies, we're done.
He is
It's like
gonna
when
be
you train a
grumpy.
dog. Sometimes you give them the treat, sometimes you don't. So you keep
Exactly.
them guessing.
Literally
Yeah.
yesterday, I walk into the restaurant and we're doing training and stuff, and he hands me a Ziploc bag
This is
of
true.
still warm, fresh baked chocolate chip cookies.
true,
Which,
yeah.
by the way, I ate the last one last night. So
I hope you
I'm gonna
liked
be.
it.
I'm gonna be
I will
needing some
say,
more.
of the TikTok friends I have made, 2 of which have definitely become more like closer to me as friends because I have been sent cookies by them.
Cookies are the best.
Cookies
The
are
best.
delicious.
One of our
One of them is
desserts
not me.
on our menu is a cookie.
No,
plate.
you're not one of them.
Yeah.
I'll name drop if I have to. Archaeolog's one of them.
Of course he is.
Of course he
I
is.
was into making cookies recently because I made them I have new neighbors, and so I made them cookies, and so I made Jason some cookies. That's where this is all coming from.
No, you made me cookies and you gave the leftovers to the
some
The
neighbors.
neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, we're off topic. I feel like.
No, there's no
is
such
there a
Do
topic
we,
thing.
do we
we're supposed
even
to-
have a topic?
I think the topic was let's talk about them, and we're learning about their restaurant right now. So it's a local hippy dippy joint that has alcohol. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I
And you're
like
all
that.
located, by the way, you're located in Washington State, right? For anyone who's listening in.
Yeah, we're about
Check that out.
20 miles outside of Seattle.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite in your circle then when I was up there. So 2 weeks ago, I was south of Spokane. So
Oh,
yeah.
That's the eastern.
Not-
That's the
It doesn't
Trump,
count.
That's
It's-
the
it's-
Trump part of
yeah.
the state.
that
Yeah, it
we
is.
do not associate with that part of Washington.
No, I've noticed. Actually, while I was there, there's a movement going on right now to try and get Eastern Washington and Eastern Oregon to be a part of Idaho. Is that right?
That's fine. It's totally fine.
Have you
I don't
heard
know if
about
that's-
this?
I have not, but it sounds amazing.
I've heard. Isn't it called like Lincoln or something? Want to call it?
It's they're trying to like get the 3 of them to like reform a state.
What I'm interested
That's
in
so
is the
cool.
Cascadia. Are you familiar with the Cascadia movement? Which is the attempt to create a new country out of southern British
Oh,
Columbia,
yeah, I have
western
heard
Washington, Oregon, and northern California, and create
have heard
a
that.
state called or a country called Cascadia. I'm a big fan of that plan.
I mean, but how
Why
would we
Cascadia?
govern it? How would
That's
it
not-
be governed?
I think of things. I let other people implement.
Oh, details. Okay, got
And
it.
so
You're
details
like
not my
my
thing.
you're like my
It's-
friend.
Yeah, like we should have time machines, but like how? That's for
Yeah.
the scientists.
You're,
That's for
Right,
you.
you're
Nat.
right.
visionary. The
So you're-
visionary.
you're a
I
visionary.
make.
Got
I
it.
dream it up. You're
You're
the
the
scientist. You
Steve
make it
Jobs.
I
happen.
was gonna say I'm the one that always has to figure out how these things work because
Yeah.
that's what I get hired to do. So
Exactly.
That's exactly how the podcast
Ricky's like
started.
that, and he's just like, "Hey, let's do this." I have no idea how we're gonna do it, but let's do it.
But Ricky, you're a doer. You're the person who makes this stuff happen. I can tell by the shit you make. Like some of the stuff you make is, and I was telling Jason about it earlier. Like the wands. Like you
Yeah,
make
that
Harry
magical
Potter
wand
wands,
was
don't you?
amazing.
Didn't you make a Harry Potter wand?
Lately, there's one that's like looks glassy almost. It's amazing.
One right
Yeah,
here.
that one.
Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's amazing. I
And you
think
can
it's so
order
cool.
one from my Etsy shop.
Really?
Buy them. Yeah.
Do I get a discount code?
Or I can make, I'll make you one custom.
Do they work?
No. they're,
Depends on how hard you hit someone with it, saying Adava Kedavra or Adava,
Okay.
whatever the word is.
Avada
Kedavra.
That's it.
I do some damage.
So that
It
one's made
looks a
out of
little
glass.
pointy. You could
No, it's
potentially-
wood and
It's
epoxy
wood.
resin.
Okay. I was really impressed. You also made some huge sword. Was it from like Lord of the Rings or something?
Oh, you're
There
going
was
to see the
something-
sword? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Let us see
Are
your
you
sword.
going
Let
to
us
show
see
the
your
sword, or are you
Ricky.
going to? Should I show him my sword? No, I shouldn't show him my sword. No one wants to see my sword.
All right, you're going to get a look at my crotch real quick. Hold on.
Not that sword.
That's the wrong sword, Ricky.
Dang. Look at that thing.
Damn.
Yeah,
This
that's.
is from Skyrim, the Daedric sword.
But that's not the metal. That's the.
Sheath.
Well,
that's
it's
all-
not metal though. It's what material?
No, it's
is
all
it?
wood.
Yeah,
made
it's all
of
wood.
It's one piece of wood.
Wow. So this is the nerds part of Nerds and Heresy.
It's a little early, but yeah, we can definitely get onto that.
Nice.
And everyone already knows about my manchete, so I don't really have to show that if I don't. Want to.
I
You
don't
want to see
know
the
about
knife I just made?
Nat, I don't know about your man.
You don't know about my machete? Okay, so my
Oh.
father,
Oh wow.
Oh, it looks like kryptonite. That's so. Oh wait,
That's
that's
metal.
green.
That's
That's
not
cool.
Whatever,
Yeah, that's
this
cool.
This is a metal knife. I make real knives too.
That's pretty cool.
Do you bring that to a steakhouse and just when they bring you the steak knife, you're like, please?
No.
I'm
No,
good.
no, this is mine.
Whoa!
I got this.
What do you make me for, a chump?
Yeah.
All right, your machete.
So my father,
Hey, Eddie.
I love him so much. Yeah, Eddie's
Hi.
on here. I love my father so much.
shut
He
up.
wants to be so helpful with my job because I'm so outdoorsy. He wants to protect me. And I told him recently I needed a new machete because I was going to be in the vines down in Louisiana, out in the swamps. This was last year, and he goes online and he buys this machete. And he's like, oh, and it has like a vine like trimmer that goes with it. You just pull down and you cut it. Well, it turns out it looks like a cleaver that has been like attached to a machete, and it has a two-handed grip, and it's much larger than he thought it was. So this is, hold on. This is my manchete,
Oh wow.
Good Lord.
right?
Yeah.
It's
serrated edge.
Fiskars. It's got a serrated edge, so I can saw stuff. I'm not entirely sure what the holes do. Maybe it's aerodynamic, but it looks like it. Honest to God, it looks like there's like a cleaver on the end of a machete.
Yeah.
And like I have used it to like cut, like if you pull down really hard, it cuts vines and branches really easily.
Oh,
but
fine. Okay.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to ask if you've used it. Have you gone out into the woods?
yes,
Because you're
yeah,
an
I've sharpened
archaeologist.
it a few times too. I have used it.
Field tested.
It's not very effective because of how large it is to carry out there. And
I
I mean,
have that
it
problem.
has to be attached to my hip. I don't have a back brace for it yet, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have this weird thing that I call the manchete, because it's a cleaver machete.
I knew you were like Indiana Jones.
I have more toys than this.
Yeah.
Trust me. I mean, you can see the shovel behind me, and a bunch of other things. I'm sure.
Nat, can I ask what do you do like on a daily basis as a?
That's one of the first questions I've asked her.
What?
It's a hard answer. It depends on who's hiring me and what project I'm on as to what
Okay.
I need to be able to
What's
do.
the most adventurous thing you've done as a? Is it? It's not just archaeologist. What was the word you used?
So I'm an geoarchaeologist. So I work. I do
Geoarchaeologist,
geologic analysis and archaeological or cultural. I'm losing my phrase of thought.
She
Cultural analysis, I guess.
Archaeolizes geodes.
I archaeologist. No, that's not what I do.
Do you like rappel down the side of
just
the
said.
Sphinx?
No, I wish I
Gathering
want
samples?
to, but no, that would be detrimental to the sandstone as it's eroding away there.
Right.
No, I do cultural resource management. So I work with a cultural resource management firm where they go out and assess whether or not there have been cultural remains or any form of previous habitation of peoples in an area. And a lot of the time they send me to areas where no one stepped foot for like 100 years or more.
Oh, wow.
So normally it's way overgrown, and I'm wandering through random forest, which you don't think is really prominent within America, but you'd be surprised. In the middle of Tulsa, there was this huge chunk of like 20 acres or so that hadn't been touched in ages. And I was wandering through, and that's the time I got the most ticks I've ever seen in my life. And we don't need to talk about that because that's gross. But yeah.
Have you ever been to Göbekli Tepe?
Göbekli Tepe. Yeah.
I was just.
I have
gonna
not been
ask
there.
what she
No.
thinks about this stuff. Yeah.
Am I the only one who
Göbekli
doesn't know what
Tepe
that
is a fun one. Do either of you follow Archaeowolf on TikTok?
I don't do the TikTok thing.
Okay, well then,
You should.
Christian, you need to follow Archaeowolf. He has a 4-video series of Göbekli Tepe where he's analyzing it as an archaeologist because he is a better archaeologist than I am. I can identify whether or not someone's been there. He can tell you about who and what they did.
Oh, wow.
So it gets beyond, like, he's a pro. Göbekli Tepe is a really fascinating site. There's a lot to be said about it, and I've not been there myself, and I'd love to go at some point.
What do you think about the idea that 11,000 years ago there was a more advanced, like civilization of humans that were wiped out or whatever? I'm not. It's your belief.
It's not my thing. I just read
Explain
a
it.
book about
Explain
it.
it better.
I'm not explaining it. They're interviewing us. We're not supposed to be interviewing
Oh
them.
no, I am
We're
curious
having
to
a
see where
conversation.
this pseudo-science like controversy goes to.
I-
This is always fun.
No, I've got nothing to say about this.
What's the
Oh
guy's name?
no.
Graham Hancock?
Graham Hancock.
Oh,
Have you heard
Graham
of him?
Hancock is the worst. like the worst.
Jason
Don't
wants
believe.
to leave right
you know,
now.
he only has a degree in nursing. Like he doesn't have any idea as to what he's talking about. He's a very interesting writer.
Yeah, have you read any
Ron
of his
Wyatt's
books or
awful.
anything?
I don't need to know. Like I don't need to read him to know how much of an idiot he is. Like I don't need to do that.
But they seem pretty interesting. Like
they're very interesting, except for the fact that even the church denies anything to do with him because everything he says is bullshit.
Well, I don't think he's involved. He's not like religious as far as I know.
Don't look at me.
Yeah,
you brought this up. I'm not trying to go down this.
Jason earlier today was like, I just don't want to argue about anything ever.
Oh,
I don't do
I'm
that
sorry.
anymore.
I don't want to argue either.
And I'm
but
like trying to start a fight.
So no, it's okay. It's not a fight. It's more of a clarification. Let's put it that way. The books I'm sure are very interesting, and the ideas that he comes across and puts forth are very interesting. But he is picking and choosing from sources that do not that are not credible to be used. So anything that you're hearing from him are from sketchy sources to begin with, and let alone any conclusions he comes up with are fictional in his mindset. So thinking that 7 to 10 to 11,000 years ago there was a more advanced culture is an inaccurate statement. Now there were cultures out there that were entirely independent of white culture, and they had their own way of doing things. And just because we don't understand how it happened because they either died off or moved on, does not mean that those peoples are by any means like alien or anything like that. It's just because they had their own way of doing things and it was a very effective way of doing things doesn't mean that we can't figure out. If we can't figure it out, that just means that they were smarter than us, but it doesn't mean that they had help from outside sources necessarily.
Sure. Right.
So
does that make sense?
Real quick, for those who don't know what you guys are talking, who is this person I obviously know what y'all are talking about. I definitely do. But for those who or who don't know, who may be watching, can you fill us in?
I'm so sorry. I feel bad now.
Right
I feel so bad now. I need to get, I'm sorry. I don't need to, like,
hey,
I'm sure it's very
Kariah Holly asks a good question to Captain Dadpool. Somebody needs to moderate this shit. I'll do it. Hey, Captain Dadpool, in what ways has their podcast helped with your deconstruction? Can you give some examples? Can you think of episodes or times in your life which still have an impact today?
That's a good question.
I think it's a good question.
Ricky's gonna be like, now that I'm thinking about it, I really can't. And it's been fun having you guys.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
I got a
Turns
thing.
out this was a bad idea.
I just realized I got to.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry,
actually,
I made things tense.
I do have one thing that like popped up. Is I think one episode, Christian, you said that one of the things that like started everything with you was you stopped believing in hell.
Yes.
Yes. And like I felt that. I was like, yeah, once I started learning where the concept of hell actually comes from, what the Bible actually teaches about hell, what ancient Jews teach about hell in reference to Sheol and the grave and Gehenna in the New Testament, like learning about what hell actually was in the ancient world and how very different it is from what we understand now, and how what we got about hell today is basically because Emperor Constantine knew Greek mythology, but he didn't know the Greek language. So he got that messed up and compared or turned the biblical Gehenna into Hades, basically, and Tartarus. And then that was mythologized further by like the Inferno by Dante Alighieri, Paradise Lost, and it just got dramatized over time to the point where we have this eternal hellfire now. That was like a very relatable moment for me when I heard you say that.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up thinking that there's absolutely no possibility other than when you die, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, you will go to hell and be tormented for all eternity. And the smoke of your torment will rise up into heaven for all, for my mom and everybody else to watch, when I go to hell. And I think there was a book, I don't know what it's called, but I believe the author was Edward Fudge, and he's a Christian, but he believed that hell was either annihilationism or some kind of conditionalism where you have to suffer for a certain amount, but then you go to be in heaven. And just believing that it wasn't because that idea of hell, that it's eternal torment forever, that you're actually given. I used to believe that you're actually given a spiritual body that can suffer torment forever without being destroyed. And so to find out that there are other options that fit the Bible, even that hell is not that, freed me up to kind of figure out what I believe. And so before that, I was so afraid to even believe anything different because the consequences of it would be eternal torment. And so when I was kind of unhooked from that freed me up to be like, what do I believe if I'm not indoctrinating myself every day, you know? So that was a big part of it for me.
What up, Oz?
Okay. Well, that's interesting. As far as like, I've never really thought about like a soul being. I mean, I understand the whole concept of like the eternity of a soul in hell or heaven or whatever, but I never really thought about the concept of having like a physical body that is able to resist torment for eternity.
Yeah.
That sounds really intimidating, but at the same time, it's like how much easier it is it to like handle pain on Earth than thinking that, oh, you know, this will get me ready for hell. Like,
it's just a warm up.
It's intriguing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, because hell is just so much worse than anything you could ever experience here. It's in my mind, it was just the worst physical and mental anguish you could experience for all of eternity. You go through a trillion years of it, and you're not even getting started. It's just going to go on forever. Yeah. That's what I believed. And when you can get somebody to believe that, and they believe that because you taught that to them, you can get them to believe anything. You know, it's like you'll do anything to escape that.
Yeah, I made that point in a video fairly recently when I was talking about the concept of eternity, and I had a bunch of sawdust on my garage floor, and I was like, look at all the sawdust on the floor. Now imagine each piece represents a trillion years, right? That's an infinitesimally small percentage of what eternity actually is. Yeah. So you're going to tell me that in any crime that you commit, even the most heinous crime you can imagine, is still worthy of that amount of being on fire for that amount of time? Like, that doesn't even make sense, let alone just not believing that Jesus was the savior of mankind.
Yeah, and then when you factor in the idea that, as you're taught in evangelicalism, that God, it's not that God wants to send you to hell, it's that he is simply so holy that he doesn't have the option of just looking the other way. And so there's almost this, there's an idea that there's like a God above God that's kind of like justice or the law or something to which God is beholden, to where even though he's all powerful and omnibenevolent, right? Even if he wanted to just like let you off the hook, he can't, because the very like majesty of his nature and the very blinding nature of his holiness demands eternal recompense for the smallest crime. It's just fucked up, you know? It's just like, geez, like you're telling me that God is all powerful and all loving, and yet he can't just forgive the way because I can just forgive. Like if I ask my child, clean your room, and then half an hour later I go in there and it's like they did an okay job for like their age, but it's not that good. And it's like, well, now I have no choice but to either punish you eternally or find some other kid who's willing to be punished in your stead. But I gotta fucking take my anger out on someone.
Wait. Are you saying that I could find a different soul to take over my punishment?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole gospel, right? It's that Jesus. You're in trouble in that. Yeah, Jesus stepped in to pay the penalty, but it's like the idea that like I as an imperfect image bearer of God can just forgive my son for not being perfect, but God can't do that to me. Suddenly it sounds like I'm a better father than he is, which is
but our ways are not God's ways.
Because you are. You didn't already kill your son.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't. I turns out I didn't crucify my son. In case
nor
anyone's
have
wondering.
You asked someone else to kill theirs. I mean, it's
I haven't crucified anybody.
And the thing is, like, I am not believing in God because I want to go sin. That's just like a side benefit of it. Like I'm not believing in God because I can't. You can't make yourself believe something that you just don't, but doesn't make sense to you, right? And so I feel like, you know, if I'm gonna get punished for that eventually, the only thing I can say is like I don't know what else you wanted me to do. I just am believing what I believe, and it's not. You could have made it more obvious.
Wait, hold on. Can I just answer Nat Aunt Jer's question.
Yeah, I was trying
We
to-
are 20 miles east of Seattle. We're not north or south of Seattle. We're east in the area of Issaquah. So that's where we are.
The restaurant, the Well and Table, will be in Issaquah.
Yeah.
So
I just saw that
Jer.
question, and they were asked it a couple times, so I wanted to just say that.
Dadpool. Otangelo showed up.
Oh Jesus!
This is going to get interesting real fast.
Otangelo seems like he's
Jesus is a myth.
Jesus
Oh,
gave
that's
his life
somebody
freely.
else.
Oh, no, that's
Jesus gave his
Oz.
life
Oz.
freely.
That's what this was. Oz is hashtag Jesus is myth, and not just. Anyway, that's like a catchphrase for him.
So
It's
okay,
enjoyable.
so
It's
Nat,
enjoyable.
you didn't grow. What did you say? You grew up
I
religious?
grew up
A little bit.
Methodist, but it wasn't a very strict household. I was encouraged to think for myself, but my grandparents really wanted me to grow up Christian. So my mother was like, okay, pushed me into what she grew up as, which was Methodist. But it's very, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but like Methodists are like the most free thinking Christians. they kind of just like, hey, ask for forgiveness and you're good.
So you didn't grow up with a
about the
real
extent of it.
strong like ideology of hell.
No,
or
but
thinking you're going to
I
hell.
did grow up in the Bible Belt being one of these very loose thinking Christians. And that, I mean, I didn't go into half the details of what I went through as I deconverted because it happened while I was in high school in the Bible Belt, where most of the cool kids in the school were Christian and like went to places like Kanakuk. And I can guarantee you, Karaya knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I've never heard of Kanakuk.
Kanakuk.
Karaya.
Well, there was a giant
Karaya?
pedophile ring that went around Kanakuk that came out when I was in college, and that was an interesting fun fact. But yeah, but like I did things that got me in trouble in school, like wearing. I designed a T-shirt for my tennis team that was like an ape that goes into a man serving a racket. And that was apparently extremely offensive, and I got
like
sent home
evolution,
that day.
like
Mhm.
evolution.
Yeah,
Oh,
like the
gotcha.
Darwin theory. Mhm.
Like tennis is the
Yeah, but tennis is like the
When I heard
ultimate
ape goes into a
evolutionary
man, I
process.
pictured an ape
Mankind
having
is a
sex
tennis
with a
player.
man, and
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
I could see what that was trouble.
No, then it's things like that. But then like I would see things like Jesus loves you, and if you don't believe that, you're going to hell. And like I'll see that on someone else's T-shirt, and I would go up to the teacher with the exact same phrasing that they would use and be like, "That T-shirt offends my religion or my belief," and then I'd get sent home because they can't
you're
send a
the-
Christian
yeah.
home. My God, what do you think this is? Like America?
So you don't. So now you don't live with any type of fear of hell in your normal daily life at all now.
No, and here's the second reason why. So at the age of 7, I was told I was going to die young.
Oh.
And so I've lived my entire life day by day thinking that I'm going to have a short lifespan.
Why were you told that? Who
I have
told
a
that?
genetic heart issue.
Oh, okay.
It's I have a pacemaker and everything. It's
okay.
But I mean,
She has
being
superpowers
told,
because of it.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm bionic. This is a fun fact.
Yeah, I grew up with a bad valve. I had heart surgery about
Oh,
4 years ago.
But did they
And-
tell you that you like have a short lifespan because of it?
No,
No.
I tell him that.
No, he
Oh,
told
okay.
me.
I tell him
No.
that all the time.
It just beat weird all the time, and so I grew up with I'm an overthinker. So hell, overthink, heart, overthink, I'll overthink it, and so I thought I would die young because of that. So I grew up feeling like I could die at any moment, and when I do die, I'm probably gonna go to hell because I masturbated the other day, and so. So
you believed in that. So the thing is,
Yeah.
every time I would go to like the first few years of my getting a pacemaker and going through this, I was really young. So my first pacemaker I got when I was 11, and until I was about 14
wow.
years old, which happens to be right around the time I got confirmed and knocked myself out of the Christian church. I was constantly going to bed with the fear that I wouldn't wake up in the morning and I would actually wake up in hell. Like I had this concept.
Oh wow.
And you know what released that for me is when my mom says, well, you don't have to go to church if it's scaring you so much. Like the psychologist in her, it's like, if this is really terrifying you that much, I don't think it's healthy for my child to
Jesus.
live in fear. So she let me not go to church. And then after a while, I realized, well, why the hell was I going to church in the first place?
Right.
And it just kind of added on from there.
So you never think about it now. You don't think I could die
I
and go
like
to hell.
to. Well, I'd like to say I never think about it, but I live in the Bible Belt.
Right.
I drive down the road, and there's a sign that says, "Every child is like it should live." Like there's an abortion. If you do abortion, you're
Right.
going to hell. Planned Parenthood is you're going to go to hell. Blah blah blah. And so, like, I mean, I'm constantly reminded of it, but at the same time, it's not going to come up in my mindset unless someone else brings it up.
What about you, Ricky?
What's the question?
Do you ever fear hell?
Yes. Kill what?
Do you ever lay in bed and go, well, what if I'm wrong? I could end up in hell. That would suck.
Oh, ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, I don't honestly.
I'll do the Methodist thing.
Yeah, I honestly don't like fear hell because I don't believe it exists. It doesn't make sense why it would exist.
Yeah.
We interviewed, we had Dan Savage on our show a few years ago, who's, if you don't know who Dan Savage is,
shameless plug.
Yeah, he's a
shameless.
He's a sex columnist, sex advice guy, gay activist. He started the Stranger newspaper here in Seattle. And we're talking because
he's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, he's great. He grew up religious. He's a talking head on all kinds of documentaries. I'm sure you've seen them. And we went to his office. We're having this conversation, and we're talking about all these things we're talking about now. And then I think I asked him, like, okay, but like if you were on an airplane and they came on the intercom and said, we're going to crash, what would you do? And he's like, oh, I would be praying to Jesus, like just right away. I would just be like, Jesus, forgive me for my sins.
I thought Jesus was the cute Mexican sitting next to him, though.
Jesus, help me.
Yeah, no, the other one. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I would say that I think about it less than I used to, but it's every once in a while I'm just like, what if I'm just completely wrong? Not only am I wrong, but I've led thousands of people like Captain Dadpool to deconstruct. I'm gonna have the biggest millstone tied around my neck and be thrown into the ocean. You know.
Well, you can take a little bit weight off your chest because you didn't help me at all.
Okay. Yeah. But I helped Ricky, and Ricky has 362,000 followers.
That's
that
a
he's
good
leading
point.
down.
That's a heavier weight for sure.
And I've helped a lot of people that message me constantly, like, "Hey, I'm leaving my religion and my family, and
I'm leaving my family for you, Dad."
I had someone message me and was like, "Hey, I'm married and I have 3 kids, and I want to leave the church because I realized I'm gay. What do I do?" Right. I'm like, I'm not a life coach. I'm not a counselor. Why are you asking me that? I'm not going to tell you to leave your family because you want to go experiment with other guys. I'm not going to tell you that. Like, yeah, just shit like that came out of the woodworks. I was like, yeah, I'm just a guy who makes TikToks. I'm not going to give you life advice. Sorry.
Right.
Plus, I don't want to be legally responsible for the fucking mass shooting that you're going to go do. Like, that's not on me, son. I don't want anything to do with this.
Right.
Oh, man. That is one of the like most common questions I get though is or among other atheists. It's like, even though I'm an atheist completely, I still maintain this like residual fear of hell. Like, how do I get over that? And it's crazy the number of people that still affects who are now atheists. It's a question they get daily, multiple times a day even. And it serves as a testament to how strong the indoctrination is.
Well, it's such a powerful idea, right? That you are going to die. We all know we're going to die, but that when you do, there's a very good chance you're going to suffer for eternity after that. That's such a powerful idea to even plant in somebody's head that even if they only believe it for 5 minutes, I think it could affect you for the rest of your life. I think that kind of idea into a child is a form of abuse. And I feel like me growing up as a 6-year-old thinking that like has affected my whole life. You know, and it's going to continue to affect me.
So what's really interesting here is I like to think about the instincts that we are intrinsically born with versus the ones that we are instilled upon. So, nature versus nurture and all that. But like we have an instinctive fear of heights and we have an instinctive fear of the dark. And it's just, those are 2 very natural things that happen. But the fact is, as a child, you're growing up, you don't know how to identify exactly what those fears are or how to identify why you're afraid of something. But then you add on having an adult that's supposed to be wiser and like looking out for you to tell you, well, you know what, you have to fear death as well. So because if you do anything wrong and then you end up dead, you're gonna just keep on dying over and over again. You're just gonna keep on being in pain, and it is just that's terrifying. Holy cow!
Yeah. Yeah, it's not something that a kid's brain is meant to handle, I think.
No.
But even for adults, I think it's a terrifying idea. You know,
Yeah, like I have 4 kids. My oldest is 8, and he's never asked a question about Jesus or God or hell. He's never been exposed to it because I've never taught it to him. So, and like all these kids who are afraid of hell, and like that is extremely sad that they're grown up or they've been taught that way growing up.
So do you think that there are ways to teach religion that are healthy and okay, or do you think they're all bad?
Yeah, I think there's a way to teach that they're healthy and okay. Like if you taught it in like the framework of its mythology, or in the same way like you could teach like Buddhism or Hinduism, like, hey, here's this belief and this is their goal and yada yada yada, and you can believe that if you want, you can follow that lifestyle if you want. But I would do away with things like don't tell other people they're going to hell for not believing what you believe. Let's not do that.
Yeah,
Like, are you want to use as like a moral guideline or a way to achieve like a deeper sense of self or whatever? Sure, go for it.
Yeah. So you wouldn't say you're anti-religion necessarily, just certain forms of it, right? Because I think I know some people who religion's done wonders for, just like AA has done wonders for them. You know, they've got something to focus on. They're, turn their life around. I don't know what would happen to them. What would have happened to them without religion? And I'm supportive of them continuing to be religious. But in some ways it's unhealthy. In some ways it can be healthy. But same with AA, though. I think AA is unhealthy in some ways, and can be healthy in some ways.
But you have to think about the evolutionary process of the fact that humans naturally need a society. We are pack animals. We very much want to be social. Yeah, we're social animals. So by default, religion or practice society or civilization puts us in these groupings that where we share similarities, or we don't share similarities, but we share ideologies. And that's a necessity in a lot of cases. And there are a vast, you have to think about, there's a vast majority of people that are in so much need of acceptance and in so much need of being in the societal focus that they end up losing themselves should they step out of it, which is why when some people go through deconstruction, they lose all track of who they are, like entirely. And it's because like they define themselves through their religion rather than defining themselves as their own personality. So it's, I mean, I think it can be a good thing and I think it can be a bad thing, but I can think, but my main focus is the fact that culturally, society needs to be social. And that's just the way it is.
I also think that there's a sense in which people need first of all, people need a scapegoat, because they project all of their inner trauma onto some external group, whether it's the Jews or the Mexicans who are coming to rape us.
That's just being immature.
No, but it's prevalent everywhere in our society. Yeah. And then conversely, to save us from whatever scapegoat, whether it's the devil or sin or my flesh or the Jews or the Mexicans, we need a savior figure like Donald Trump, who's going to come along, and he's the only one who can fix all the problems that we have. So he's going to build the wall. He's going to create this. But what we need, it's like we need this utopia that's just over the horizon, just around the corner, and it's this demonized, vilified group that's keeping us from that utopia. And it's this mythology that we just have that expresses itself. It's sometimes I think even evangelicalism can be a kind of boogeyman or scapegoat, because it's like even people who are not evangelical, who don't identify as Christians, still operate in this exact same space, right? That there's something out there that's keeping me from America becoming great again, and so I need to demonize them. And then there's this person over here who's going to make it all okay. And whether you're a Christian or a Republican or whatever you might be, it just seems as though this dynamic finds ways to express itself in any arena, whether it's religious, societal, cultural, individual. And I think that's part of the problem too. I like to describe it as a victim hero complex. Like, oh no, they're coming to take my guns. Well, you can have them when you pry from my cold dead hands. Like the victim hero.
There always has to be a boogeyman under the bed at all times, and there always has to be like you in some way being the conqueror of that boogeyman that you placed there mentally in the first place.
It's
fucking
well,
weird.
how effective would religion be? How effective would Christianity be if hell did not exist?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
if that concept didn't exist, if you were never told that you're going to hell, if you don't believe in what's happening, it's like the restriction of it is the fear. The fear itself is what grasps you and holds you to this religion.
It's hard to say, but it's very possible it'd be very successful without it, because the early church, the early Christians didn't teach hell that way again until Constantine. Constantine got that, learned about Yahweh because he thought so. Constantine was in a civil war, and he thought he needed the power of the blessing of the strongest God. Now, everyone at the time was pantheistic. Everyone believed all the gods. And the argument was who worshipped the strongest God. Well, Yahweh was a healer God, and that's what was most coveted at the time. Healing, because you had so many people dying from childbirth. Infant mortality rate was through the roof. There was leprosy, people born without limbs. Women had to have 6 children in order to sustain the population. So a God who would heal the people was the most appealing at the time. So he thought that Yahweh was the strongest God. So he converted to Christianity, worshiping Yahweh, and lo and behold, he won the Civil War. So that's kind of how it started, and didn't really have anything to do with hell, and had to do with God. This is the strongest God there is. And then the ideas of hell came kind of after that, when he established the Council of Nicaea, and they argued about the divinity of God and the nature of hell, and they kind of went from there. But yeah, originally when Christianity was made the state religion, not by Constantine, but his predecessor.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Not by him, but his predecessor made it the state religion. Constantine made it legal, but his predecessor, I forget his name, made it the official state religion. But yeah, prior to that, the idea about hell being a place of eternal torment was not a thing yet.
Oh, see, I didn't read the Bible, so.
But some things that are true came about later, like the rapture. I mean,
right? That's happened a few times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Y2K. It was real.
Yeah. Pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib, all millennialism.
So I guess one of my questions is, do you, when you focus your attention against Christianity, do you differentiate between evangelical fundamentalists and liberal Catholics, for example?
No, because there's this big problem kind of on TikTok that y'all are familiar with progressive Christianity. Mm-hmm. It's this idea that Christians can be completely supporting of the LGBTQ lifestyle. There's pretty much no rules. You can do whatever you want and still be saved somehow. And they have this whole thing about Leviticus isn't talking about homosexual, it's talking about pedophilia, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you're wrong. It's not. It's literally talking about same-sex relations between 2 adult males. So it is still this, like, even in that, like, that liberal, progressive Christianity, there's this attempt at manipulating the scriptures to meet a certain narrative. It's the same way that, like, fundamentalists do. It's just at the opposite end of the spectrum.
But what would you say to somebody like Peter Enns? Is that his name? Peter Enns? I mean, somebody about Peter Enns, who would say the Old Testament isn't the inspired word of God in the sense that every book is like dictated from God. It's what people believed and wrote, but they were wrong about some stuff. They're wrong about history, some history stuff, all that. Take it as a whole. You can describe it probably better than what I'm doing. Am I doing okay?
Well, no, it's
like progressive Christianity can say, Leviticus is just not. We just don't have to believe it. It wasn't really. It was just what the people believed at the time. It's historical. It's a historical document written by the Jews, but it's not necessarily inspired by God.
Yeah, I made a video about this earlier today. Actually, the earliest Christian groups did not want to, or didn't use the Old Testament. At all. They want to be completely distinct from ancient Judaism. They wanted to establish themselves as a new religion after Paul. We know this because, like, the early groups, the Ebionites, they used a version of Matthew that's a little bit different than Matthew that we have now, as their primary text. They didn't have the Old Testament. And then the Marcionites, who led by Marcion, was obsessed with Paul and his writings, so they used Paul's writings. They didn't use the Old Testament. But the problem was, in antiquity, or in ancient Rome, you couldn't just start a new religion. Think of, like, today. You have to have the newest, greatest thing, right? The newest, shiniest technology. Back then, it was the opposite. You had to have the oldest thing. That's where it was at. So you can't just start a new religion, because people are going to be like, "Oh, you worship Jesus, who was killed 40 years ago? How are we supposed to take that seriously?" So what they did is, when they went on their missionary journeys and their evangelisms, they started adopting the Old Testament and arguing that the Old Testament was the fulfillment of, or the New Testament was the fulfillment of the Old Testament, because that way they could say, our religion isn't new. It actually goes back to the beginning of time. Boom. Mm-hmm. There's the antiquity that you need to be considered serious. So that's kind of how it happened. So it's a weird question to answer, because, again, the earliest Christians didn't plan on using the Old Testament at all.
Right.
But today they do.
We talk sometimes about, you got, on the one hand, you got those who try, like you described, Ricky, about people who try to make the Bible a kinder, gentler message to a woke society. So it's like, oh, it's not really condemning homosexuality or adultery or fornication. You're just misreading it. And then there are those who say, oh no, the conservative interpretation of Scripture is correct. I just think it's wrong. And it's like, where do we land? I think I have more respect for those who say, oh no, the Bible absolutely agrees with what the evangelicals say it says. I just think the Bible's wrong. Like, Paul
absolutely.
Paul did condemn gayness. He's just wrong. As opposed to, no, if you really understand Paul, he's just like Rachel Maddow or whatever. And it's like, I have more respect for the person who says, oh no, I just think the Bible's wrong. You're interpreting it correctly, evangelicals. I just think it's wrong. Like, that to me is like more ballsy, I guess, than trying to still cling to a love of the Bible and a respect for the Bible, but just try to fashion the Bible into a kind of, like, Democratic Party agenda. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just say, no, the Bible's conservative. It's just not true.
Yeah, I would much rather Christians lean more towards a progressive ideology. I would much rather that.
Yeah.
But if you want to, like, maintain, like, the Scripture, what the Scripture says is God's law, then that's where you can't really say that and also say the Bible's not anti same-sex relations, because it just is. But if you're willing to say, Paul was probably wrong because he was, then that's cool. But then you have a whole other problem. Like, how do you reconcile what's right with what's wrong? Like, again, with Paul, like, only 7 of the 13 letters do we know are authentic, written by him. So, like, how do you determine what to base your theology off of? It's such a slippery slope at that point.
That's why I think it's better to kind of, like, put the cart before the horse, which you're just, I've heard you're not supposed to do, but I think it's better to just decide what kind of person do I want to be. I want to be a person who is inclusive and who loves the other and who is open-minded and humble and loving, right? And so now I want to just, like, reverse engineer some theological ideas to make me more like that, rather than just receive from on high or from the church or from the Bible these authoritative statements that are just going to turn me into an asshole. But it's okay that I'm an asshole because I'm right. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just say, no, I'm going to start with the kind of person I want to be and decide that, and that's my main focus. And then, to whatever degree I want to justify or enhance my life with Scripture or theology or spirituality, I'm going to choose things that are most likely to make me into the person that I know I want to be anyway.
But at what point do you say, because isn't that just manipulating the religion to meet who you are naturally?
But isn't all of religion doing that? Aren't we all doing
but
that?
At what point do you say, what point does a religion become less of a religion and more of like a, I don't know, worldview, maybe is the right way? Like if you're going to join a religion and say, okay, I'm going to form this ideology, doctrine, theology, whatever, around who I am naturally, like what's the point of having a religion at all?
Yeah, and maybe for a lot of people there is no point. You know, for a lot of people there is no point. You know, there's no point. That's why people don't go to church, because it's like, I already know that I want to love people, and I've already got that part down, and so I don't need religion. But if you grew up in religion, or you just draw inspiration from it, the way people may draw inspiration from like Deepak Chopra or Eckhart Tolle or some mystical writer, it's like, oh, well, if I feel predisposed to want to be religious because that's just where I get my, my batteries charged, then I'm going to find one that I know is going to reinforce the things I already know I want to be. And it's like, I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is what I, saw happening in my own life for many years, which was when, like, I became an intolerant, smug know-it-all because I learned Greek and Hebrew in seminary. I learned how to exegete the Bible in the original languages. I learned historical Christianity and historical theology. So it's like I had justification for being a dick because I'm right. And it's like, no, you're missing the whole point. The whole point is love your neighbor. This is the law and the prophets, And so I have more respect for someone who's like, I'm going to love my neighbor. That's what I'm doing with my life. That's what's going to characterize everything about me. And it's like, if I want to be religious, I'm going to find a religion that's going to just help me along that path. Or not. But what makes no sense to me anymore are people who are like, well, I wish I could love you, gay couple, but turns out I can't because God hates you and I'm trying to be like God, and so fuck you. Yeah. It's like that. That's what I just and I felt prey to that for a long time. I think both of us did. And it's like, no, that's my own deconstruction had a lot to do with, hey, it's not about doctrinal precision. It's about love of the other and love of the stranger. And it's like, to whatever degree this expression of Christianity that I'm dabbling in helps me along that path, then I'm going to go ahead and draw from that. But if it doesn't, then I'm going to look for something else because I know that this is what I want. And it's like, that to me is the kind of religious life that makes sense or that I respect, for speaking just for me personally.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, definitely.
Yeah.
Ash has a really good question I kind of wanted to pose towards you guys, if that's okay. Yeah. Ash Nazir says, what do y'all think about the 1946 thing, the claim that homosexuality wasn't actually in the Bible until 1946 translations based off of Paul making his own words in Greek?
Yeah, are y'all familiar with that, the 1946 project?
No.
Nope. So the idea is that the word homosexual wasn't present in the Bible until 1946. It was put in there. The word is arsenokoitai in Greek. And the problem is, it's not really its own word. It's kind of a conjunction of two words, like male and bed or something like that. I'm not quite very current on it. But it's not really a made up word. It's a conjunction of two words. But the problem is, Paul is referring back to Leviticus because he was an Old Testament scholar, and practicing Jew. So when Leviticus said, man should not lay with man as he does a woman, the word he uses is zahar, which literally translates to male. It has no connotation of age or anything. It just means male. But when it says you should not lay with a man as it does a woman, the word for woman is used adult woman. There's a separate word meaning prepubescent female that it doesn't use. It uses adult woman, which strongly connotates that it's saying an adult male should not lay with an adult male like he does an adult female. Like that's how it reads. So when Paul condemns same-sex relations, he is drawing upon that.
So he's not just condemning pedophilia, you're saying he's condemning
no,
actual
condemning,
homosexuality.
it's not just pedophilia, or it's not just same sex. He's condemning like all types of sexual sin, because that's the Old Testament. Because the whole point of the Old Testament law was to prepare the high temple priest to enter into the Holy of Holies, into the manifest presence of God here on earth. I'm sure you guys know. You had to be as clean, sinless as possible before you entered into the divine presence of God. Because if you didn't, you would die instantly. That's why they would tie a rope around your ankle in case you did die, so they could pull you out without having to go in there and retrieve your body and die themselves. So before you entered into the temple, you had to go through all these rituals, sacrifices to cleanse yourself of these sins and then enter into God's presence. So the idea that you could have sex with another man, consensual or otherwise, and then go into the Holy of Holies and not die is absolutely that is not what they believe in ancient Judaism at all. Which is
Did
what
they ever have to pull anybody out? Was there any?
I'm really curious. I really
I
hope there's an instance of that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Can you imagine like one of those guys at some point went in there and had like a stroke or a heart attack, and they had to pull him out, and they're like,
oh no, he must.
Oh my God, it's real.
Oh my God.
Is like any rumor that pertained to him, like any of the little boys he might have touched, they're just like, oh,
yeah, God struck him dead.
It's real.
It's like Ananias and Sapphira. I'm convinced they just like ate something bad and died.
Yeah, they just got
they like a ritual suicide type thing.
Yeah, got struck by lightning.
But that's the that's the ideology behind it.
I'm not familiar with the whole movement or whatever the argument, other than what you just presented.
It's a documentary that's coming out soon.
Interesting. It does seem to me that like what we think of today is like we have friends who are like
Aaron's
son gay married.
Thank you.
We have like friends who are like gay married, and they've been together for years. They have a loving relationship. And
they're literally the most devoted couple that we have known in our lives.
Yeah, they cohabitate.
Other than your parents,
right? But it's like when I don't get the sense from the Bible that when insofar as the Bible does condemn homosexuality, it's not. I don't feel like it's talking about the same thing that we think of today when we think about the gay relationships that we know among our friends, whether they're women or men. It seems as though in antiquity, sodomy was this act of domination that you would do. You vanquish your foes on the battlefield, and as an act of like dominion and subjugation to humiliate them.
It's like when you're playing Halo on an Xbox, and then you get your character to teabag the guy on the ground.
Yeah. So it's like
the cultural norm at that point.
Right. Were there openly gay, like loving men who lived together in the first century in the Roman Empire who just like they live together and they get up and they make lunch, they go to work and they come home and they watch TV or whatever. It's like that wasn't like how it was. Yeah. And so I get the sense that there's a lot of miscommunication when people cite 2,000-year-old or older texts or prohibitions against same-sex relationships. It's not even, same-sex relationships itself is a very modern way of talking about it. But what's condemned in Scripture, in my mind anyway, it seems to be something akin to raping someone in order to humiliate them, right? It's not. I don't think when Paul says what he says in Romans 1, he's referring to our friends Michael and John, who were just two guys who love each other and have loved each other for years, and they're gonna love each other till they die, and they're nice, wonderful people. I don't sense that Paul is condemning that in Romans 1. I get the sense that Paul is condemning something that was more common in that day, which was the domination and subjugation and humiliation of your enemies in a sexual way, right?
But that would only apply to men, right? Because because I mean, you can do that to women, but you can't do that to men according to the Bible.
Yeah, and a woman doesn't really do it to another, because in antiquity, women were on the battlefield killing their enemies
and then just
scissoring them.
Yeah,
scissor me, Xerxes.
Oh my God!
So the subjugation of women was an okay thing within the Bible at that time. So even though you're defining that the Romans
women,
one is
just don't do it to men, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what the Bible's saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
if you
clarifying.
find a woman
And
that you want as your wife,
so
just
you
take
can
her.
still. So then you can still believe in the Bible because, you know, it's not saying it's not bad to be homosexual. It's just bad to rape people, right? So, but only if they're men.
Only if they're men. Yeah.
Right.
I think
Right.
you are actually allowed to rape some women based on certain conditions.
Well, to be fair, you have to pay their father like $30.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's totally fine.
So it's like,
It's
hey,
totally
your
fine.
daughter
Sheep or
belongs to
something
me
like
now,
that.
but here's a little money.
No,
Quick-
sheep
okay.
are dirty. Sheep are dirty. Women are not.
Quick change of subject.
Yeah.
Jason is reading a book right now. He's been reading it for like a year.
Are you going to bring me into some other thing?
Knows how to read.
Oh no.
No, I wouldn't.
Wish I
do
knew
that
how to
to you.
read.
I wouldn't do that to you.
Again.
That seems to say that the early church was super into psychedelics, and
Oh!
Yeah,
I'm very
I
curious what you guys think about this.
I get asked that a lot, and I don't know a lot about that. Go ahead, Nat. Seems
I
like
don't
you're
know a whole lot
covered.
about it either, but what I can tell you is there's a reason why people drank wine as much as they did. Is because the water was polluted to an extent that they couldn't drink that fresh. So they would ferment these wines, and sometimes the wines had psychedelic tendencies depending on what yeast would jump in there.
Really?
So when you get drunk off your rocker on some wine that has some psychedelic tendencies, I mean, there is some shit that is going to happen between people and between like thought processes, and you're gonna have to share that with somebody at some point. But yeah, no, absolutely, there are definitely drugs, absolutely drugs related to the
The book
past.
Jason's reading seems to imply that mushrooms were part of like early church.
I have a hard time thinking mushrooms would be, simply because of the location of being in the Middle East.
Yeah,
Mushrooms,
there's
I
not
mean,
a lot of moisture in the soil, which you would need.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sand and mushrooms don't go well together unless there's a nice humid atmosphere. Now there was areas around Egypt with around the Nile that can have that humidity or that natural Mediterranean humid atmosphere, but so I don't know about how clearly that's analyzed, but if there were people trading psychedelic mushrooms, I need to know what's the name of this book. No, what's the name of this book? I need to know it now.
It's called The Immortality Key, and the author's name it's a weird name, but it's Brian Murareksu. But if you just type in The Immortality Key, you can find it. And what he's basically exploring is this idea that the mystery religions of the Greeks during the first century and prior in the ancient Near East, in the area of Galilee and Judea, that Greeks were absolutely partaking in pharmaca, which is the Greek word.
If you're talking about Greeks, yes, we are on the same page as far as psychedelics are concerned.
And so he's trying to make the case that in order to compete with the mystery religions and the liturgical practices of the Greeks that were happening right around the area of like Nazareth and Capernaum and Galilee where Jesus lived, that in order to compete with what they had to offer, that the earliest Paleo-Christians had to come up with some brew in their Eucharist which had psychedelic properties in order to bring about the ecstasy, the ecstasis, right, in Greek, the standing outside of oneself.
It's too bad they didn't have ecstasy.
Well, maybe they did.
They could have.
So that's what it's about.
Know that part.
So he's trying to explore this idea that until Constantine in the 4th century came along and sort of legitimized Christianity as the empirical religion, the religion of the empire, imperial, I should have said, that the earliest Eucharists as practiced by the earliest churches in their house churches and in their catacombs were psychedelic. I wouldn't say I believe it, but I think
I believe it.
It's interesting.
I 100% believe it.
I mean, I want to believe
true.
this more than the other book you read.
Well, they both the two authors are friends with one another, and they respect
it all makes perfect sense.
So even though you've never read Graham Hancock, you also have to disbelieve
I have read some of his
book
papers. I haven't read his
This guy
books.
also likes Graham Hancock, so it's a non-starter.
Oh boy.
I totally know who Graham Hancock is too, you guys.
He was on Joe Rogan.
No need to explain that to me. I know.
That doesn't help.
I definitely know.
Ricky, I'll tell you about it later.
He's very
Not me,
interesting.
I know.
He's
I-
a very fascinating
yeah,
individual.
uh-huh, yeah.
Who he is.
Yeah, of course you do.
Um,
It's not like we didn't bring this up at all with Archaeo Wolf a few weeks back.
I remember.
Did you?
Yeah, we did actually.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yep.
interested to watch that.
Correa mentioned something in the comments. I've often wondered if dehydration, poor nutrition, grief, substance like that could have caused visions like that of Jesus of the resurrection. Why would he have seen only by his followers? Yeah, that's very likely. That's kind of where I lean, is because they were Jesus was not supposed to be executed as a criminal. He was the Messiah. He was supposed to be he was supposed to overthrow Rome for the Jews. Like that's what he was supposed to do. That's what the Messiah was supposed to do. That's what they groomed him to do.
But is that what he thought he was going to do, or just what his followers thought he was going to do?
I think it's what his followers thought he would do. I don't know if he believed he was the Messiah or not, because he was an apocalyptic preacher. That is my position. I think he's an apocalyptic preacher, which is very common at the time. But his followers groomed him to be the Messiah.
You do believe he existed?
Yes, I'm not a mythicist.
Okay.
So like his disciples brought him into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey, as the scriptures say, right? And in the Old Testament, they did that to fulfill the prophecy intentionally. That's why they did that. So they did certain things in order to fulfill that prophecy, but then he died as a criminal, which wasn't supposed to happen. So that's why they grieved so heavily about his death. So it makes sense that they would have bereavement-induced hallucinations, which is common. Even today, if you have a loved one who you've been married to for 20 years and they die, you have visions of them in your living room. Mass hallucinations, even. The miracle of Fatima was like thousands of people saw the sun dancing across the sky because they all stared at the sun for a long period of time.
It was the last thing they saw.
Yeah.
I mean, staring at the sun does cause hallucinogenic properties. So,
yeah. But yeah, it makes sense that like mass hallucinations are caused by.
So you believe when all these people say they saw Jesus after his resurrection, that there were a bunch of people who claimed to see that. It wasn't just a story written 50 years later, then they made it up and said, all these people claim to have seen Jesus because they're all mostly dead, and so and they're not writers, they're not going to contest it or whatever. You believe they actually 500 people or however many it was actually saw that? Or
I don't think 500 people did, because that was just something that one of the one or two of the Gospels write. Or was it Acts? No, one or two disciples Gospels wrote. But like even Paul, again, the earliest mention of Jesus that we have, he doesn't mention a bodily resurrection. He said that everything he learned about Jesus came through scriptures and revelation. He never says that Jesus resurrected bodily. He says he had visions. Like look it up. Every time he has these visions of resurrection. So yeah, just visions.
Yeah.
And again, he has these multiple times throughout his letters. He never mentions a physical bodily resurrection, which he could have done, like resurrection in the flesh. That was a term they use very commonly. He never did that.
necromancy.
Necromancy. So that's kind of where I have, because again, even like the burial by Joseph of Arimathea was mentioned in all four of the Gospels, but was not mentioned by Paul. Paul never mentioned Jesus being buried. He had no problem with the idea of him being left up on the cross and picked apart by scavengers, as was usually the case at the time. Sometimes they were thrown into a mass grave, but they were never given a burial, like a proper burial. So this whole idea about Joseph of Arimathea,
isn't Paul the one that says that if Jesus didn't raise from the dead, then we are what's the, I can't remember scripture anymore.
Our faith is vain.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's in 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 15, I think it is.
Yeah.
But still, that's not necessarily referring to a bodily resurrection. It could be referring to a spiritual resurrection. He doesn't distinguish it, but he should.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of
skeptical. I'm so skeptical of actual mass hallucinations.
The problem with believing that Jesus physically rose from the dead is grave robbery was a capital offense in ancient Rome. So if Jesus' body suddenly disappeared from the tomb, we would have records of the Roman government and the Roman army inducting doing an entire investigation on it, because that we have those. Whenever a body goes missing, there's an investigation, but there is none like that.
Almost whenever a body goes missing.
Well, yeah, not whenever, not every time, sure, because a lot of the records are lost to us. But that was a capital offense, and there was an investigation whenever that happened. We don't have anything like that. Like, Jesus died, and his disciples were just left alone. They were never really talked about again. They left him completely alone. So the clues don't really make a lot of sense as to a physical resurrection.
It's so funny because I'm reading the comments a little bit on the right, and someone's saying, "How many people still believe Biden stole the election without a shred of evidence?" And I'm kind of like,
Kariah.
It's kind of like we're looking at 2,000 years ago, and we're saying, "Oh, but these authors 50 years later said that 500 people saw Jesus," and I'm like, I can tell you of thousands of people who will tell you they saw the election being stolen by ballots being, showing up in some counting location, right? Even though we have all these video and surveillance and all this stuff. So stuff that didn't actually happen can be believed by a bunch of people at once, even in today's age, but even more so 2,000 years ago when we don't have video surveillance and all this stuff. People are still believing stuff that they can see with their own eyes and video now, And
how many eyewitnesses do we have of Bigfoot? Like thousands.
So many.
Thousands.
Right.
He's real, I'm telling you.
Or even Mormonism. Like, there's like a dozen or more eyewitnesses to the Archangel Moroni, and some of them have like recanted their statements since, but not all of them have. Like, some of them are still sticking to their guns. Like, yeah, I saw the Archangel Moroni.
Right.
Yeah. So eyewitness testimony is not reliable either in the court of law for that reason.
Right.
So yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. Ultimately, we're not sure. We only have like vivid clues.
Yeah.
One thing we can all agree on is people don't always agree on things.
I disagree.
I disagree. Yeah, hard pass. Hard no.
Hard
for me.
pass.
Totally missed that one. Nah.
Ooh, I like Titan's question. Was Bigfoot on Noah's Ark? No, he missed it, like the dinosaurs.
My favorite story is that Noah's Ark they built a few years ago, how it rained and started leaking.
Oh yeah, Ham and like
Ken
the
Ham's,
insurance didn't cover
Ken
it.
Ham's.
Oh, you mean the thing that I brought up on TikTok back in October? Because it's like the third time that it's flooded, and apparently it doesn't have insurance with floods.
I am so curious about that. How is that still a thing? How is it still open?
idea.
Like,
People
to
are
the-
going to it. People are going to
How's
it.
it not
People
shut
go
down
there.
by now?
It's like $30 for a child, $50 for an adult ticket.
Oh my gosh.
Flat Earth creationists love it.
But see, I say that, but then I would be like, I would totally go see that.
I don't want to spend money there, but I want to go and like, I would go and I would do like a
break
10-part
in.
TikTok series on why everything's wrong.
That guy came and spoke at the guy who built that came and spoke at my Bible college while I was there. That's
Ken Ham
my
did?
education. Ken Ham, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's
Ken
my
Ham
education.
also sponsors. Well, Ron Wyatt is one of them, but
He sponsors
They are-
Ron Wyatt.
and a few of his studies.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
I thought you were
not
saying
surprising
Ron
at all.
White,
I
the
don't know why I'm
comedian.
acting surprised about
no,
that.
not Ron Wyatt the comedian. No, Ron Wyatt the comedian's a decent fellow.
Okay.
Drunk, but a decent
Yeah.
person.
That's Ron White, not
White,
Ron.
Right.
not
Got
Wyatt.
it.
Ron
Got it.
Wyatt.
Sorry,
Got
my
it.
accent is all over the place. So
Yeah. Ron Wyatt's the one who claims to have discovered the Ark and the blood of Jesus and all this other shit by
he's
himself.
apparently discovered a. He discovered a Roman wheel in the Mediterranean, but the footage, the picture he uses is from off the coast of Brazil. And yeah, it's shit like that. It's just.
I watched
There's
his
really
testimony the other day about the blood of Jesus, and he was like, I went in and I saw the Ark of the Covenant, and there was 4 angels, and they looked like young men, and they gave me a sample of Jesus' blood, and they told me to have this tested to verify it. Like that was
This
his
was
testimony.
his testimony. He was
Yeah.
saying he saw the 4 angels.
Yeah, he saw
Yeah.
4
Okay.
angels, and it had 24
And they gave
chromosomes,
it to
which
him.
means that Jesus had Down syndrome. Like, he
Mm,
didn't do his research before he fabricated this bullshit.
no.
How do you get the blood of a retarded person?
I don't know.
Oh, that's the bigger question. Where'd you get the Down syndrome kid's blood?
Yeah,
Oh, I feel bad. I don't want to discuss this. The amount of PC-ness is
he
happening.
went to some like retard rehabilitation center or.
I'm so glad you said that because that makes what I said less bad. Now
God.
that's the
It's just
headline,
getting worse.
not what I
It's
said.
just getting worse.
No,
Okay,
I'm
No,
complicit
no.
from laughing.
And
Thank you
scene.
very much. Yeah.
so
Listen,
actually,
I'm in the military.
so
My
okay,
sense of
okay,
humor
okay.
is
Let's
second
back
nature.
out of this and go into maybe the nerds part of everything. How do we
Okay.
feel about that? So, because we don't know individually what you two nerd out about. I mean, you guys talk about all this pop culture and political nonsense, but
Battlestar
like
Galactica
at
is in
home,
our top 5
behind
shows.
closed doors. What?
Battlestar Galactica is in our top 5 shows. That's
Oh.
nerdy,
I didn't-
right?
We didn't really talk to you guys about this backstage. My bad. Like the last quarter of the show, we just talk about nerdy shit.
Oh, okay.
So I just want
Can we
I
do
want
that?
to
We
know
can do
what
that.
you guys like
Yeah.
geek out about behind, like off the mic, like with your families, or just like by yourself.
The Wire,
What?
you mentioned.
Yeah, The Wire. Apparently, like Jason loves
Y'all
that.
play any video games?
I don't play any video games.
I don't play them either.
No.
It's
Not-
cool.
no.
I don't either. It's fine.
You're full
I
of
don't.
crap.
I'm totally.
Ricky, your
with
eyes
you
are turning
guys.
brown in front of me.
You mentioned Skyrim earlier. I do know that's a video game, and you made a sword from it. So
That is
Yeah.
a video
believing
game.
you.
You're right.
When you
Yeah.
said that, I didn't know what you like. This is from Skyrim. I'm like, that's probably some Marvel movie. I don't know what that is.
So not a Marvel fan either. I see. Okay.
I hate all those movies.
You
All of
mentioned
them.
that.
Hate
and
them.
I have so much beef with you about that.
It's not the you're
It
not
hurts-
you're not
it
the only
hurts a
one.
little.
You're not the
I'm
only
sure
one.
I'm not.
I'm a huge comic book nerd, and even I have issues with the movies, but they are
What-
entertaining.
Yeah, I think
I'll-
this is
I'll
the
let that
best
be.
part.
Are
What are
they?
your issues with?
To
with
me,
the
they
Marvel
are.
movies?
I find them interesting.
I just saw Black
enjoy.
Widow last night, by the way.
No
That's
spoilers.
Scarlett
It was
I mean,
alright.
I already know the origin.
It was
but-
good, but wasn't my
Okay.
favorite.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of just action for like 2 hours straight. Action Nat, you're a scientist. You know, you can't get hit in the chest by a fucking cannonball and just shake it off and keep fighting. You
Right?
know,
Yeah.
it's-
No. I know
So,
everything's. Yeah. I have to literally
the
let
Lord
my.
of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings are those are books that I've loved for a long time. And when the movies came out, Christian and I saw all 3 of them on opening night. But even the liberties they took in those movies, it's just a bit like it takes me out of it when I'm seeing something that's like physically. I mean, these characters even though like Legolas is an elf, he still has flesh and blood, right? And so the idea that the things that they make him do are just like it takes me out of the movie when the characters are when there's just like endless action, impossible stunts that they only can do because they have CGI now.
We feel like that if a real stunt man, even if you give him all of the training that he needs and all of the equipment he needs and everything he needs, if he can't actually do it, it shouldn't be in a movie.
Well,
unless you build
Spider-Man-
into the film like the Matrix, you build into the narrative of that movie the reason Neo can do the things he does. It's explained within the arc of that movie. So it's like,
helps a little.
okay, yeah, he
It
recognizes
gives us
that.
the physics of it. Like
Yeah,
they
they
makes
account for
sense.
the fact, but like old kung fu movies, when some guy just jumps on top of a 30-story building with no
references.
explanation, it's like I'm done. I'm leaving. I don't want to watch this.
So
Hidden.
you guys know that Spider-Man's stunt double, like Tom Holland's stunt double, is a machine, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So Tom Holland does most of his stunts because he
Yeah.
has a background in gymnastics, so he can do a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, I've seen him do his
But
backflips
any
better
of the
than Ricky.
filming, it's not necessarily
Way better than
CGI. I
mine.
mean, it's
He's a
CGI,
lot
but it's
younger than
CGI
me,
with
though.
a robot.
Yeah.
So they actually have this robot that like
That's
ducks
smaller,
and,
too.
and does the spins and everything, and
Really?
they just launch him over buildings. And so
Wow.
like it's
I did not know
look
that.
at the background on that. It's really interesting.
Yeah, the
Wow, I am
the
so
movements that
skeptical of what you're saying.
it makes is really realistic.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Okay.
on that, I want to talk about Black Widow, and there's not going to be any spoilers. Don't worry.
We're fine with spoilers, both of us.
I'm never gonna watch that movie. You
We're
can
never-
spoil
Well,
it
a lot
all
of
you
people-
want.
We
Yeah.
already know she's dead from the
Watch
other Marvel movies. So
Or is she?
So there's
kidding.
a scene where she jumps off like this aircraft that's blown up and going down, and she like dives down to save somebody else who's falling, and she goes through a helicopter that is crashed as well, and she goes through like
losing
the
his
doors
mind right
of the helicopter, and she grabs a parachute on her way down and then gives it to the person who's falling. And I was like, oh fucking K, all right, really, really.
Well, see, she's not
every that's every Marvel movie I've ever seen.
She doesn't have any enhancements or anything. She just has training.
Yeah, she's just
she's
human. She's human.
A normal person.
Like I understand, like hearing the Hulk like rip apart, like that makes sense to me if a Hulk can rip apart a helicopter or something, but it doesn't make sense for Black Widow to do that.
It was like impossible timing. There's no way she knew that
Solid Snake, even Solid Snake couldn't pull this off.
Right,
so Ricky, that
there was a parachute right there that she could grab.
Yeah, that little bit of like that dubiousness, that cognitive dissonance that you felt in that moment of that movie is what I feel when I watch all of them. I feel that for 2.5 hours times 30 movies or however many there are. I feel like what. So like you're gonna grab onto the blade of a helicopter and swing it around and throw it at some guy and he's gonna like swat it away.
I do feel like if you can make a movie funny enough though, because I do like Thor Ragnarok.
That was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
and I like it because it's mostly funny. And so I'm like, I can deal with this. This doesn't seem to be taking itself too seriously. I can forgive the crazy physical parts of it, you know. But that's kind of my qualifier.
How do you feel about like Zorro with Antonio Banderas?
I don't think I've seen Antonio Banderas'.
He doesn't like it.
Zorro.
Like,
I never saw it.
He's a superhero technically, but it's all very realistic stuff.
I have issues with it considering I did fencing for a while and just watching it's horrible. But I like the idea. It's a horrible show.
I think that they should be there should be if I could make a movie, I'd make a movie about someone who has some ability. Like let's say it's the ability to fly, right? But then they realize like I can't just fly in front of everyone because I have to keep my ability a secret or else like the government's going to kidnap me and science is going to like try to. And so I can fly, but I have to wait until it's like nighttime or I'm in the middle of a field where no one's going to see me. But then it's freezing. If I try to fly at night, it's fucking freezing up there and I can't see.
It's the lamest superhero movie
I know.
Ever.
So the whole story is about someone with a superpower that they realize by the end of the movie. The logistics of this are just too much.
Like,
and so
I'm just doesn't want the superpower. I'm just going
to take the fucking bus or I'm going to Uber where I'm going instead of flying. That's the kind of superhero movie I want where they figure out by the end of it, like turning invisible. Like, oh, so if I'm invisible, if I pick up this glass, does it become invisible? No, it's still a glass. So I can't pick anything up. What about my clothes I'm wearing? Do I have to be naked when I'm invisible? What if it's cold? Yes. How about this? I just wear clothes and be visible and forget the superpower. That's the movie I want to watch. And no one's made it.
He
yet.
wants mostly dramas, just dramas.
He does dramas. Okay, so but it's all real. It's all realistic within this. So okay, so I have a question. How do you feel about that? Oh, Ricky, help me. The 5-headed dragon at the end of. Is the 7-headed dragon at the end of the Bible? I don't know.
Revelation? 7-headed dragon.
Leviathan or there's just
I don't know. How do you feel about that?
John was tripping on psychedelics.
Tripping balls.
You only believe this now because you read this book, though, right?
I've taken mushrooms. I've seen dragons.
That's
what John.
Mushrooms grow wild where you're
but for the sake of the point, it's like he was on drugs.
I've never seen dragons.
And he was tripping, and he wrote Revelation, and we're trying to figure out 2,000 years later what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about. He was just describing.
It's like trying to understand Cheech and Chong.
What kind of stuff do you guys talk about? The nerdy stuff. What kind of stuff do you guys think makes somebody nerdy?
Pretty much everything we're talking about makes someone nerdy.
The ability that we can have this conversation.
It's something that it's like a niche that you obsess over. So like we had Dave Warnock on.
We had him on a couple years ago, a year ago. Yeah.
Did you? He's been on my show.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I have his number. We text each other every now and then. It's no big deal.
I follow him.
Oh yeah, no big deal.
No big deal. He was on the show and he was like, "Oh gosh, I don't know what to talk about," but he's really into cigars.
He's like, "I like cigars."
Yeah, and I was like, "Well," I was like, my co-host was Crimson Barrel at the time, Mason, And I was like, we don't know anything about cigars. Like, we'll just talk about fucking cigars for like half an hour, and we did, and it was great. He taught us a lot about it that we didn't know. So, like, anything that you like are really passionate or obsessed about that you.
So it doesn't have to be a nerdy topic. It's just something you can
It
nerd
doesn't,
out
it doesn't have to
about.
be like.
It only
comic books or
becomes
video
nerdy
games.
when it's something that someone really, really likes. I mean, it's not an insult to say something's nerdy. It's just.
I would say
it is what it
if
is.
there's something I nerd out about, I grew up in the 80s listening to U2. And I've been a U2 fan.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, wow. No, we just said no judgment. Come on.
Wow.
So
I'm trying.
80s, I'm a big nerd of 80s and 90s U2. And I probably have an encyclopedic knowledge of U2 from the 80s and 90s and since then. But
he's on the YouTube forum every day. Do you check the YouTube forum every day?
Yeah.
Every day. Yeah.
Are you on their Patreon too?
No, but if there's something I nerd out about and I still watch and listen to and know a lot about and talk about, that's one thing.
Yeah.
You know?
What about me?
Soccer or something.
You think I nerd out about soccer? Not
Do you
that
have
much.
a favorite sports
Only during the
team
World
that you're
Cup.
obsessed with?
During the World Cup or the Euros, I'm nerding out about that.
Oh yeah, I mean I nerd about it.
Halt
as
and
well.
Catch Fire. You ever seen the show Halt and Catch Fire?
No. What is that?
No.
Oh my god, I'm a big nerd
Write
for
that
that
down.
show
Oh, you should. It's weird that you didn't judge him for that.
because it's an amazing show.
I like
YouTube. I like
I know what
80s and 90s
U2 is.
So, yeah.
I- Do you really, Ricky? Do you not know who U2 is?
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know who U2 is. That was. Oh my god.
I just have to make sure.
Yes, I know who U2 is. I don't hate them, by the way. I'm just pretending to hate them to be funny.
What was it? Was it Apple? Whenever you got like
Apple, when they released their newest or
like when it got
An update,
iPod,
like,
it
2
always
years
like
ago.
there was always a U2 song on the Apple iPod.
It came with like
So many
their
people
newest
hate U2
album.
because
If
of
you
that.
bought their
Yeah.
newest iPhone,
Yeah.
it came with the newest album or
That's
something
it.
like that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how
that-
I got
everyone
That
was
was
like,
the
I
biggest
don't want
mistake
that.
ever.
Yeah, but most U2 fans don't like most U2. It's like Star Wars. Anyone like if you are a Star Wars fan, you're obligated to hate 75% of all Star Wars content. If you're a U2 fan, you're gonna hate 75% of stuff U2 does, including the fucking iPod and then the iPhone thing. It's like no true U2 fan respects that. Just like no real Star Wars fan thinks the prequels are good. They suck. And so does 75% of Star Wars content. And I say that as someone who cares a lot about Star Wars.
For some reason.
Oh, hey, he cares about Star Wars.
For some
There's a
reason.
nerdy content.
We care about Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope.
Did
and
you
about
did
a quarter
you see?
of Return of the Jedi?
So you saw the most recent ones, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel about the CGI? Or did you watch The Mandalorian? I should say.
Yes.
I
Okay,
couldn't
and how
finish
do we
it.
feel about? Oh, you didn't finish it.
I couldn't finish it. I tried twice. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm okay. Spoiler alert. How did you feel about the CGI on Luke at the end?
Luke's in it at the end?
Luke's what? Goddamn, Nat. Shit.
I said spoiler alert.
Well, I can't really sign off.
You could just
I'm
plug
the
your ears
host,
and pretend
alright?
I could be like, okay.
I thought I didn't think the Mandalorian was very good. I mean, I thought it was.
I
Just
think it was
like-
very much like cop and robber type concept.
It was like an old
basic.
60s cowboy, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we're trying to do this thing, but in order to get there, we have to go to this place and solve their little local problem, like the A-Team, right? We're trying to get this, but we have to go this, but this local mayor is a corrupt guy, so we're gonna spend 45 minutes solving this local problem to get one step closer to the next thing.
If I want to watch a good show that does that, I'll
Western.
watch Firefly. That's a good show
Yes,
that does
Firefly
that.
is amazing. You heard
Yes.
that there's going to do a reboot, right?
I did not hear that, but
Yes.
please
There's
tell me
rumors
you're
about
not
that for
blowing
years.
smoke up
Is
my
it
ass
actually
right
gonna
now.
happen this
No,
time?
that has been discussed for years, and I guess somebody.
You can't just say something
it
like
was
that
Sony.
and not know for sure it's going to happen. That
Oh, hold on, let me Google it really quick, and I can give you the exact names. Okay.
But it's gonna be bad. Like anytime they try to reboot anything, it's worse. Like they're gonna ruin it. Don't you want?
the characters
Okay,
are
yeah.
so
So
good, the actors are
Disney,
so good.
Disney Plus is going to be doing a Firefly reboot.
Is Joss Whedon going to be writing it?
It is literally next line. It's not clear if Firefly creator Joss Whedon is involved in the project.
It's gonna be
Wow.
all CGI. It's gonna have no sophisticated humor. It's just gonna be the Mandalorian, because the Mandalorian's a Western. Like that's the whole point of the Mandalorian. It's supposed to be this like old Clint Eastwood Western where they walk into the saloon with the swinging doors and the long jackets and stuff. It's gonna be. It's like don't just come up with new shit. Stop trying to remake old things and ruining them. You know what I'm saying?
Karaya says it's not Firefly without Wash. Spoiler
I agree.
alert. But if they're doing a reboot, he can be in it. They can change that.
As long as Inara's in it, I'm in my bunk. I'll be in my bunk.
Yeah, if Marina Baccarin's in it, that's cool.
That's pretty awesome.
So I don't get the similarly Loki is all the rage right now.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with. Actually, I'm having a really hard time.
I watched the first 3
watching
episodes, and I don't get the hype at all.
I haven't watched it, but my cat's name is Loki.
Oh,
I named him after Matt Damon's character from Dogma.
About it.
Yeah, I don't get the hype. I think like a lot of things are overhyped, and people just are fans of it because that's the cool thing to do.
People love Tom Middleton. They love him. They
I
adore him.
I like him too, but I mean, I'm really disappointed in the show because I feel like we're watching Tom Hiddleston. Yeah, that's it. Like we're just watching Tom Hiddleston, not even as Loki. We're just watching Tom Hiddleston, like with a wig.
Yeah,
and it bothers me because I was like, well, this is not Loki at all. This is not.
I haven't seen it.
Doesn't follow
but
the
if you want me to nerd out on
all.
Loki, I will nerd out on the fact that they had Matt Damon play Loki in the play during Ragnarok, pretending to be.
Do
Loki,
you know
even
who
though
played
Matt Damon
Thor?
Because Matt
in the
Damon
play?
was Loki in Dogma. So
you
that
know
was
who played Thor in that play of Ragnarok?
Who played who?
Do you know who played Thor?
Who was it?
It was Chris Hemsworth's brother. It was another brother of his.
The last Hemsworth.
Yeah, the last Hemsworth.
The one they talk about in The Good Place.
And Tom Hiddleston originally wanted to audition for the role.
He only auditioned for Thor. He got Loki.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. So maybe it should be Thor, but we'll give you Loki.
Yeah.
I guess he wasn't.
Jason's over here in the corner. He's like, God, I hate Marvel so much.
Yeah, your kids like it though, right? Your kids kind of like it.
My kids like it.
Yeah,
that's who it's for. It's for children.
I'm still a child at heart.
Yeah, he's been an old man at heart. He's been an old man at heart for like the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So
okay, old man, do you like to go fishing and hunting?
I've gathered that.
No.
What do you like to do?
I like to relax and listen.
How do you relax?
I like to.
You like to get high and listen to music.
I like to get high and listen to music.
Yeah,
I like. It's every night. The last couple hours of literally every day of my life are spent having a drink, smoking a little weed, and watching like a Radiohead concert or a hip hop show, something like that. That's kind of how I sort of unwind, and I get all the feels. Like when I'm in that state, I get like. I'll like reach out to people that I've been like disillusioned or like distanced from for years and be like, hey man, like I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you and I care about you. Like I try to, it's like I become I don't know. I think a better version of myself. And
you never reach out.
You literally stimulate yourself into.
I've done that while I'm drunk,
nice
and I wake up the next day. I'm like, I should not have fucking talked to that person.
Do you ever regret it? Yeah. Do you ever regret it?
I mean, that's adorable. I love that.
No, I reached out to, there's a guy that we were missionaries with in Hungary. And at the time, he and I were kind of like, we had a sort of weird competitive relationship that was not healthy. And then when I left Hungary in 2000, I haven't spoken to or been contacted with this guy in since 21 years. And like probably a month ago, I found him on Facebook and I messaged him. We're not even friends, so I didn't even know if he'd see it. I'm like, yo, hey, I just want to,
Mike Howard?
Yeah. And I said, hey man, I was just thinking about you, and I really enjoyed living with you and working with you and getting to know you, and I learned a lot from you. And I regret that we had a competitive thing going. I think that was immaturity on my part, and I hope you forgive me, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you and your wife are doing well.
He wrote back, said, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the biggest piece of shit afterwards?
No, he wrote me back and he's like, hey man, me too. Like, that's so cool that you said that. And it's like, yeah, that's how I'd like to end my days.
That's a Christian thing to do.
Whatever. Yeah, I just do that.
I noticed you don't write me any sweet messages in the middle of
the
night.
Yeah, you don't write him any no love notes.
I see you every day. You're not estranged from me.
Oh, no love for Christian.
I got plenty of love for Christian.
Whatever.
I recently reached out to an old friend Similar to that, I was drunk. And I was like, "Hey, man, I've been thinking about you. I haven't heard from you from a long time. How you doing, man?"
And he responded with "fuck you."
No, he responded with, "I'm very involved in the kink community. I am a
Very involved in what?
in the kink community.
Oh, the kink community.
I'm a counselor
wow.
in the kink community, and I counsel people on how to be safe, and all that." And I was like, "Oh, cool.
Well,
Right.
then.
I'm glad you're doing well, guy. I'm gonna
Let me-
not talk to you anymore after
Let me
this."
let you talk to my friend who has a whip. That's you, Nat. You have.
I know that was me. I realized it's really funny too. They don't. Yeah. So I'm demisexual, like basically I'm like asexual. Like I don't fucking care.
Wait,
So,
I just learned about demisexual last week.
yeah.
So let me tell you what my understanding of it is from my
Okay.
friend that told me about it. Demisexual is you are not you. It's hard for you to be sexually attracted to someone until you get to know them really well. Is that
Really well. Yeah.
is
Like
that
I
right?
have to
Okay.
trust them wholeheartedly.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's
I
interesting.
also am just like, I don't give a shit. Like I don't have any solid desire to be in intimate sexual relationship at all. So yeah, anyway, that's enough about my personal life.
No. Tell us more. Go on.
but
let it all lay bare.
but yeah, no, that's why it's kind of fun because like I'll do all of the stupid jokes and everything, but I'm like, I don't even know what this means. I mean, I do, but I've never experienced it. But I can make these jokes, and it's okay.
Sometimes I wish I was asexual because I'd be like, I could get so much shit done if I wasn't thinking about sex so much during the day.
I mean,
You know,
every
like,
now and then,
I
like,
could read
maybe once
so
a
much
year.
more. You know,
I wish I was pansexual. That's what I want to be. Pansexual, but it
I have a
doesn't
lot of
happen for me.
pans.
It's not. It's not.
That
what you think
could
it is.
work.
That's not what
Ricky,
that
sorry.
is.
Yeah.
You know that's not what that is.
You know what pansexual is?
Well, pan means everything.
Yeah, just attracted to everybody.
Yeah,
Just ready to have sex with everybody.
Well, not exactly. You have the capability of being attracted to everyone.
Yeah.
You still have your
Right, you're
kinks
still
and those
you
that
still
you
have some
like
people
and
you're
those you
attracted
don't.
to and some not. But yeah, it doesn't. Their sex or gender doesn't matter to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that seems like the best. Those people are
I think
so
so.
lucky. Yeah. Anyway,
Wait, who's married? Wait, what?
someone said they're gray asexual.
I don't know what gray asexual is.
I don't know either.
Is it getting late for you guys? Just asking. Like,
Getting late for him.
We got I mean, we got another 15 minutes in us.
Yeah. You know
Okay,
how he
fine.
said he goes
Yeah,
home every night and does his drinking and high? That's coming up pretty soon. for
gotcha.
him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to be in bed for another 6 hours, but let's
Yeah.
wrap this shit up. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Yeah, I got
No,
it.
I'm kidding. We got another 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's my way. Yeah. Yeah, we reached the 2-hour mark. I wanted to check in.
Oh, nice.
See where you guys were at.
That's nothing for our podcast.
I haven't pissed them off yet, Ricky. At least
Yeah,
I haven't
you're-
pissed both
y'all-
of them off yet.
Oh no, he hates you. Right now.
I can tell. He
Yeah.
got quiet.
Yeah, but we'll talk about it when you're gone.
If
Okay,
I'm
it's fine.
quiet,
Talk
it's
about
because
me.
I hate Zoom calls and like this kind of thing.
You have to admit this one is much better sound wise, like with the.
It's much better
delay.
because we're in the same room. Like we did an interview recently where somebody was talking to two people in the same house on separate screens. We're talking to him and me, and we were at our own houses, and I was just like, there's so much delay and interference that I'm just going to be quiet until someone asks me a direct question, and then I'm going to answer it.
I feel like an asshole because I talked the whole time.
I just let you go. Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
You know, you did great.
this works great. This whatever this service is, this StreamYard is awesome.
StreamYard, yeah.
It does. Kind of.
It does.
Most of the time.
Sometimes
Sometimes it misbehaves.
it's user friendly. Yes, that's what.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few of our listeners have asked us to do something like this where we can answer questions live and do like a live stream. We just don't know how, but I'm guessing StreamYard.com is a good place to start.
Yeah, streams are good. We do this on like it's live right now. Obviously, we usually have guests on Sundays, but we also have a show on Thursdays where it's just people can just ask us questions,
Oh, interesting.
and then we just hang out and have a casual. I usually have a repeat guest on.
And so once you stream it live, after that it goes onto YouTube as a video that somebody can go rewatch.
Yeah, automatically. And there's super chats available, which if your YouTube channel is monetized, your viewers can use super chats where they pay money to have your question like highlighted. So if you're like a popular YouTube channel that gets a lot of traffic, and you have a question that you really want answered, you could pay like $5 or whatever to have it like pinged or put at the top of the list or highlighted, and you can be like, oh, hey.
Is that a YouTube thing?
Yeah.
Okay. We're not allowed to
I know you guys don't really do.
We got kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, we're not allowed to.
Well, you should try again.
Wait,
I don't know.
wait.
We
I feel
appealed
like there's a story
How did
behind
you get
it.
kicked off?
We still don't know. We also got kicked off Amazon.
The Amazon, the what's it called? Where you you can buy stuff through our Amazon link and we get a take.
Yeah,
we were Amazon affiliates.
Affiliates. Yeah,
we were doing pretty good. We make like $500-700 a month just for people buying
You don't know
stuff
what
on
you
Amazon.
did?
No, and they don't like both YouTube and Amazon. You can appeal once, and they won't tell you what it is you did wrong, and you just can't do it anymore. So we just were like, okay, I guess we're not going to make any money that way. So
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Jews. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
And I'm gone.
And now, that was a joke. You're all gonna get thrown off of YouTube now, and it's my fault.
Yep.
It had nothing to do with that. I love the Jews. I don't know.
I don't think that helps anything.
I went for the laugh, and it worked, and I stand by my decision.
right.
Yeah.
I stand by my jokes, damn
Your
it.
face was hilarious when I said that. So
My face tends to be hilarious anyway. It's okay.
Yeah, we're not sure how it happened, but
That's so mean.
we can't monetize stuff.
So I have a few people asking me, and by a few I mean, I do mean a few. They want to know if we're gonna jump on Discord after this and shoot shit, as like an after party thing. I don't know if these guys are up for it or if they even have a Discord.
I don't know what Discord is.
Then in that case, that's apparently a no. That's a big old no, guys.
If you send me a link and you guys are going to get on, I might get on. I don't have anything else to do.
Hey, you know what? Hit me up on MySpace after this or Friendster.
Oh,
we can chat.
Do you have an AIM? What's your screen name on AIM?
That's
AOL Instant Messenger.
I never even used that.
We're on ICQ actually because it encompasses all of them. So yeah.
Okay. I was following along with everything until the ICQ, and
you don't remember ICQ?
I don't even know what that is.
I think
it was
I
the late
like
90s chat that incorporated all the different chats together. Like
what's your Vine?
Yeah, and stuff.
What's your Vine?
Vine. That's only a few years ago.
I don't know if you can jump on a Discord chat if you don't have a Discord though.
I think so you can download Discord. It's free. It's like Skype.
Is it on my phone or is it on my laptop?
You can do it on your phone, and then you just create
it's a social media site, but it's way more involved.
It's like
we've had people. There is actually a Drunk Ex-Pastors Discord channel that some of our patrons have.
I believe that.
I've just heard about it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, wouldn't it make their day if you decided to actually set that one up?
It's a pain in the ass to get started, but once you get going, like you
meet up with people like that.
There's a lot you can do, and
really,
as far as like connecting with people, and interacting with like your closest followers, it's got its value, but it is a pain in the ass to get started on.
We jump on, I do, and Jason, when he can, we jump on a Zoom happy hour with our patrons every Tuesday for like, sometimes it's like 4 or 5 hours, and just sit there and get wasted with them. And
you guys,
we do that too.
That's pretty fun.
We'll do that plug while we can. You guys are, you're on Patreon, and you're very interactive with your Patreon members. Right?
Yeah,
like
we
take, like personal calls and all that.
Yeah, we've always taken voicemails for the podcast, but we like a couple of years ago, a year or two ago, we started a group for patrons on Facebook. So we have a DXP patrons group, it's called, and so there's like a couple hundred people in there. That has become all of our Facebook, because Facebook's become so big, and you end up fighting with everybody and your family and everything. And so this is kind of people that are more like-minded. And so we have this group of 200 plus people, and they're all patrons through patreon.com. And so we've got a certain amount. You've got to be a patron for $6.66 or more to join the patrons group on Facebook. And then we all just hang out and chat. And we have happy hours. We have meetups. We, post stuff all the time.
We've done DXP cruises.
Yeah, we have cruises.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're all about physical. I'm old school. I like physical
Let's
interaction.
do
I
a
want
cruise.
to.
Ricky, we need to do a cruise.
Let's do a cruise. I don't want to get on some
See,
Zoom
I've got
meeting. Let's
these
go to
kids,
fucking the
and they're a
Caribbean.
pain in the ass.
Well, I mean, come on.
We could do
There's
a
a
joint
possibility of running
DXP
into
and
my
Nerds and
ex-wife
Heresy
there.
cruise.
Yeah, Nerds and Heresy DXP cruise. I love
you
it.
go.
I
We
mean,
have a
well,
we have a
that
cruise in
actually brings up
February,
another
January.
thing. So this brings up another subject, which is I don't know if Ricky wants me to plug
Next
this or
Metro
not,
report.
but
Go for it.
there's an event going on this coming October that's called Better. And it is going to happen in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in October. It is a group of varying people of various religions getting together and having conversations without becoming aggressive or any sort of just being able to have a dialogue and training to be able to have the dialogue without becoming angry or upset over it. Like just it's overall just a conversation to understand people and
Dude,
what
It's almost like a convention type thing.
yeah, it's like a convention. It's almost like
Like-
it's gonna be like Atheist Con, but it's not all atheists.
But you have to go to
Like-
the Midwest to attend it.
Apparently, yeah.
Seth
I
Andrews is
know.
going to be there. T Jump's going to be there.
hmm
So yeah, a lot of big names.
Is Dave Warnock?
I
Dave
might
Warnock's
be
going to
there.
be there, isn't he? I might be there. Isn't
Oh,
Dave
nice.
Warnock supposed to be there?
Yes, Dave Warnock's going
Yeah,
to be there too.
Dave's going to be there.
Yeah, so I'm going to try very hard to be there. It's like a 10-hour drive for me, and I have to find a way to get rid of my kids for 2 days, which is hard to do. But I really want to be there, so I'm going to try very hard.
I'm sure you can just leave them. The oldest is 8. He should be fine.
Yeah, I thought about that too. He can just feed his brothers.
I mean, I'm probably, if I can go, I'm going to be talking about 3 other people that live in the area around me to see if we want to do carpool or something.
Ricky,
So
yes,
we'll see.
I'm curious. I don't know if you may have talked about this on this show a bunch, but you got 360,000 followers on TikTok.
yeah.
And it was kind of an accident, or you just started making videos and they got popular. Like, what happened, and were you surprised by it? And how is it? Was it changed anything as far as like? I know it's like, are you part of the TikTok Creators Fund? Do you get $50 a day from your TikToks? Like, what? I'm curious about the actual practicalities of it.
Yeah, I joined TikTok and I just started making videos just for fun. Like so many other people, like during the pandemic, I had to quit my job because my kids' daycare and school shut down. So I was with them all day, every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, let's see what this TikTok thing is all about. I really liked it. And I was like, hey, maybe I want to make videos of my own. And I did. And like my first like 5 or 6 videos were just dumb videos of my cats or some shit.
Are you ever tempted to go back and delete videos that didn't do well, or like do you just let everything go, put it all out there?
I don't
No.
think I figured out how to delete videos.
Not that I've deleted. I don't delete the videos that didn't do well. I like to delete videos that don't really. I like my videos to be bingeable.
Uh-huh.
So like if I have videos where I'm like, hey, I have a YouTube show tonight, I'll go back and delete that one.
Okay. Yeah.
A month old.
Right.
Because I have a lot of people who like discover me and then they go and binge watch all my shit.
Did you have this YouTube show when you got on TikTok originally?
No.
Okay.
This was by demand. So like nobody knew who the fuck I was.
Yeah.
I was not on any social media like at all. And then one day I made this video, and I think it was in October, early November, where someone's like, if you were Christian at one point and are not anymore, what caused you to lose your faith?
Mhm.
And I stitched it, and I was like, oh, I got my degree in biblical theology.
He like points to his degree. He's like,
Yeah.
I got this,
I think I've seen.
and now
that
it's
one, yeah.
over.
It's probably. I might have. After that, and I woke up the next day and I'd gained like 50 or 80,000 followers or something.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
then like, because of that, like I had a lot of like interactions in my comments.
Right.
And I just kept gaining followers. Now I haven't really gained a lot of followers the past like 2 months. Like I've pretty
Yeah.
much like it's kind of plateaued.
Since the backflip.
Yeah.
No, that was only a few weeks ago. That was only a few weeks ago.
Okay.
yeah.
That happened
No,
right
I-
before
Like
I
we
left
thought
on
you
the
were
road
cool,
trip.
I
man, when you could
reached-
do a backflip, but not
I
anymore.
think I reached my like target
Zenith.
market like limit. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, like I was very surprised of how many people were like responded to that video I made.
Yeah.
And I gained a shit ton of followers from that, and they got a bunch of questions like, oh, what do you think about this? What happens after you die? What about hell? Blah 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 blah. I was like, oh shit, oh my god. So I started making videos like answering the questions that people made, and I just kept getting followers. But yeah, it was a total accident. I had no intention.
Right. And so are you enjoying it? Is it fun? Do you feel all this pressure?
It's a lot of fun. At first, it wasn't as big of a deal, but now that I have so many followers, whenever I make a video talking about the Bible or theology or Christian doctrine or early Christian history, whatever, like I do like a lot of research to make sure what I'm saying is accurate, because I'm afraid someone's going to come up and be like, oh, you're wrong because of this.
Right. That's like when we make a meme. Anytime we come up with a meme, I'm like, it's like, I need this to be perfectly accurate and no loopholes or no holes in it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, like, I really enjoyed, because I get a lot of encouraging. I had to disable like public DMs because I just got so many of them.
Oh,
and I got like really just crazy messages, like I talked about earlier. It was like, I recently discovered I'm gay. I'm thinking about leaving my family of 10 years. Like the shit like that. I was like that. It became very taxing on my mental health.
Right.
So I disabled DMs for everyone except for my mutuals. But yeah, like I really, but I still get messages being like, you've really helped me through this phase of my life. I was terrified of hell and you helped me through that. I was terrified of my family, but you helped me through that. Like I get those kind of encouraging messages a lot. But sometimes it is overwhelming. And those are times where I kind of just like withdraw for a period of time. And then I get back at it.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, it's very nice knowing that I'm genuinely helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're liked because part of that is just your personality.
And my hair
being likable.
Oh yeah, we call him Backstreet every now and then because his hair is so fabulous.
Captain Backstreet,
yeah, we don't have that hair thing going for us. Yeah.
Okay, if I had known that you guys were like bald, I could have sent you some of my hair. I literally just cut off 10 inches. So you guys could have split it.
It seems like you're assuming we don't like being bald, and we love being
bald.
I was saying, it looks like you whacked
Matt. Got it. Body shame much?
I'm sorry, my bad.
This is 2021. What are you doing?
I wish I could be bald and not care.
Well, I have alopecia, so I have no eyebrows or eyelashes or hair on my arms or anything.
That's so cool.
And one time my mom was like, you should think about getting eyebrows tattooed on. That would look so much better.
No.
And I'm like, what are you saying to me right now? I was like 25. This was like 23 years ago. But I was like, yeah, do you understand you're telling me that you think I don't look good and I would look better with like ink on my eyebrows instead of hair?
I think you should do it.
Now I feel like for like if you ever do like one of these shows, you should just draw on eyebrows sometime and just see how it goes over.
Or just draw one.
Just draw one.
Yeah, that won't look
like
weird.
The constant.
Yeah. So.
Oh, but you I forgot to answer. You asked about being in the Creators Fund.
Yeah.
I'm in the Creators Fund. I make about it's hard to say.
It's 6 cents per 1,000 views, right?
Something like that. I don't even know. It's because I don't pay a lot of attention to it. I just visit like, hey, I have $200 over the past month or so.
Yeah. I have exactly $1.23.
Nice.
As I'm proud of myself.
But I was also recently invited into the a TikTok Live accelerated program where they pay me $300 a week as long as I go live for 3 hours a week.
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's only like a 4-month long program, and then it's done.
Okay.
But I also had like you can enable like sponsorships or something. I had a company reach out to me. It's like, hey, we're gonna send you a remote controlled speedboat. and then we'll pay you like X amount of cents for every view if you just make a video of you playing with this speedboat.
That seems like the best.
Archaeology's gotten some stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
One was like an RC car, and then there was another one that was like, I think it was a tool, like it was like a multi-use tool like coming out of like China or something. It's like, show us you using this, and he was just like, that thing's gonna break the first time I try to use it. I'm not gonna be able to film me using this.
Yeah, this thing. Like, I've made like zero money off of that like speedboat. I just got a free like remote controlled speedboat.
Right.
Like that's it. But they're like, we'll give you 15 cents or like $15 for every 150,000 views on a video you make about us or on that.
Right.
You playing with that boat. And I'm like, I'm not going to make a bunch of videos of me playing with a remote controlled speedboat. That's not.
You're just going to go play with it.
That's not my content. I'm just going to go fucking play with
it. You need to just give it to the boys and like take them to the lake and just like film a ton of footage there. And then just like every like week or so, put another clip of what you did that one day.
Something happens.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But even still, like I never started this to make money.
Right.
So I don't give a shit. If I get a little bit on the side, cool. But that's not my intent. My intent is always to make content that people enjoy and find helpful.
Yeah, that's kind of like the podcast. We didn't do it to get rich, and we haven't gotten rich. We get some income, which is nice, but we just did it because we like talking.
I don't know about you guys. I did this to become rich and famous, and I'm at 3,000 followers, and I'm very happy.
Nice.
Oh, that's tough.
I know. Hard to beat.
You're gonna blow up any minute. I can feel it.
No, I'm not. It's okay. I'm the guy. I'm the person behind the big creators. That's what I'm known as.
Well, I'm gonna go follow you right after this.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, is that your name on TikTok?
Yeah, Natty Nat. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
My name is Natalie. I go by Nat as a joke, and I kind of combined two of my old nicknames.
That doesn't really feel like a joke as much as an abbreviation.
It is just an abbreviation, but it's the Nat, the GNAT was kind of the joke.
Oh, like
I bugged people, and so that was like oh, watch out, the Nat's buzzing. So I put that on there.
Right.
Natalie. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Karaya, let's get Natalie rich and famous. No, let's not get Natalie rich rich maybe, famous no. Yeah. I don't need to be famous. I don't need.
There's a certain level of fame that's fun, and then after that, it's not fun. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion on it.
But yeah, so if you guys want to download Discord and come on, you are welcome to. We can post a link to it. I'm gonna hop on there for the after party probably.
We do
like via demands.
Yeah, what do I need to know for it? If I download Discord, is there like a Nerds and Heresy room that I'm going to, or how does that work?
You're gonna go to Dadpool's Digs. I shit you not, that is the name of the
Dadpool's Digs. No spaces, just look it up. It's a social media site like any other social media site.
Okay.
Or you can email me if you really want to be a part of it, and I'll fucking figure it out a way to get you in there for sure.
Yeah. Cool. You can always. As soon as we end the show, you can stick around, and we'll help you walk through it if you need to.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah.
Real quick before we sign off, where can everybody find you guys other than you get your podcasts? So where else are you at? Patreon.
Everywhere podcasts are disseminated. Apple Store. What's the other one?
Spotify,
not Stitcher.
SoundCloud.
I don't know. And then drunkexpastors.com is our website, and we have all of our podcasts there. And Patreon at patreon.com/drunkexpastors. And they can call us if they want to leave us a voicemail for the podcast. We'd love to hear it. It's 213-97-DRUNK is our phone number. And Drunk Ex-Pastors.
But you guys have actually answered like 2 of my voicemails.
What?
Yeah, you mentioned that. I'm so curious. Do you know which episodes they were? Probably a while ago, huh?
It was a while ago.
Now I'm just gonna spam your phone though.
One of them
fun to me.
One of them I said, I was like, hey, I was in a drive-thru at Wendy's and you talked about.
Oh, we said something super inappropriate and that you had to turn it down.
Yes,
that
it
it?
was like something about like sucking
fucked up.
dick or something, and I was afraid like the person hand me my food, and it was like,
I remember that. I
just
remember
gonna
that.
turn that. Thanks for my spicy chicken sandwich. Don't worry about what I was
That's
just
so
listening
funny.
to there.
That
You
is
like
not a
more
s-
than just spice, Dadpool.
Yeah, so I said,
It
no,
is
but
not
like, hey,
suitable. Our podcast
just
is
so
not
you guys
suitable for
know, you
work
made
or
this whole
children.
experience very awkward for me.
You're welcome.
That's one. I can't remember the other.
Oh, that's
But
hilarious.
yeah. So yeah, thanks you guys for coming on Real Talk. It's really cool to be able to interact with you guys.
Yeah, for me
absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
Because I've been following you on TikTok. That was awesome. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, hit me up if you ever want to chat any more sometime.
Sounds good.
Totally.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Do we stay on or we just log out? We just close out?
I'm literally. Are we still live?
I
Ricky.
hope not.
It says we're still live. It
Uh-oh.
says 2
Ricky,
hours.
you son of a gun! No.
That's hilarious.
He's learning how to
we're
do
gonna
it. So
close
get
the
this.
browser. We're gonna close the browser then.
Oh, I mean, you can't. Yeah, that would work. But then we're just gonna still be live, so I'm gonna have to figure this out.
Okay. Have fun figuring it out.
Ricky. Hi, everyone. Hold on. We're gonna get everything set up here. Unfortunately, Ricky is learning to do this and has given me no instructions. Excuse me as I call him and try and end this. Captain, we're still live. Ricky, we're still live.
Yeah, it hasn't been turned off yet.
I'm still talking, but my camera's off.